Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I say good evening. Today, our dear sister Onthespotts done struck again. This is her title, her brainchild, with a little bit of semanticizing from yours truly. The question is, why do Africans Africanize us? And I said, is it insecurity, entitlement, or finesse? We're gonna look at that today. Um, it's a good question. Today we're going deep in scholarship. I've been wearing my hero, Dr. Frances Cress Wells, and out. I'm gonna let her rest for a minute. I might break out a little bit. And Dr. Claude Anderson, been relying on him heavily. Today I'm gonna go with somebody I rarely go with. Um, but I'm gonna let y'all know. It's a secret. I don't brag. I'm not a braggadocious type of dude, but Chancellor Williams, Dr. Chancellor Williams. Do y'all know that's my paternal grandfather? I gotta brag on Chancellor. Yep, I'm related to Chancellor. Yep, didn't even tell Wani. He had a lot of children. I don't really brag on Chancellor because the family kind of did him wrong. In the end, he was in a home, and I don't know. I got family issues. Don't judge me. But yep, that's my paternal grandfather. Um, Chancellor was a professor at Howard for a little while. Well, Chancellor got a chance to study in Africa for an extended period of time. I think it was 15 years. I never quite figured out how he did that. Maybe it's a grant or something, but he spent 15 years in Africa, swallowed all his pride, and just tried to find out the truth and wrote a motherfucking masterpiece that my daddy put me on when I was a very little boy. It's called The Destruction of Black Civilization: The Great Issues of a Race, from 4500 BC to 200 AD. I started talking in Chancellor's rhythm just a minute ago. I wonder, was that the Majora spirit of Chancellor Williams that just got in me for a second? If it was, it's cool, but I just heard Chancellor coming through my voice. That's how he talked. He talked in rhymes. Uh, Pull up a video of Chancellor talking and you'll see what I'm talking about. But that was very unusual. I wasn't trying to do that. It just happened. Weird. Well, all right, let's get to it. Let's get to the business. Why do Africans Africanize FBAs? Insecurity, entitlement, or finesse? I'm going with entitlement. Why? Well, as I told our dear sister Onthespotts, um, as an analyst, I noticed a pattern between not all, but some of members of the of African diaspora of feeling a sense of ownership over us. Right? I can remember when I was studying at Georgetown, um, broker than a motherfucker working at Smithsonian. Africans would always tell me, "You are an African. You are an African." You know, why were they talking to me? I had on a big old, I was dressed real nice, and I had a big old shiny Smithsonian ID. That kind of has a little clout. But I was a kid. I was 20, early 20s, and I was confused. Like, no, I'm not. I wasn't insulted, but I was like, why are you trying to make me African? I never understood it, but I get it now. What we should never forget, ladies and gentlemen, is Africans were complicit in the slave trade. Very, 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 very complicit. Nobody wants to talk about that, but I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it from a scholarly standpoint and from real life standpoint. Let's do real life first. In 2023, what am I talking about? 2000, yeah, in 2023, my wife and I spent a long time in West Africa. We were on a trip that involved professors and scholars, physicians. My wife's a physician, and I'm a professor, but it's mostly professors. But we went to help build a school and build a library in two different neighborhoods. The library was near Togo. The school was in Hohoi. It's spelled Ho-Ho, but it's the E is pronounced E, Hohoi. Um, and I noticed I had misconceptions before I went. This is before I was on X. I've never really been a Pan-Africanist, but I was kind of like, I'm going back home. I had that type of feeling. But when I landed and stepped on the streets, like I cried, I noticed right away. I was like, wait a minute, these aren't my people. When you get around a bunch of FBAs, you kind of know it. You're like, I don't care if you're in Detroit, Boston, or fucking LA, Atlanta. When you get around FBA, you're like, yeah. It's something weird. It's like, yeah, what up, dude? What up, though? Yo, what's up? Whatever. You can feel it. I didn't feel it in Africa. They felt it was a relation. It felt like distant cousins is what it felt like. But back to my point, towards the end of our trip in June, was it June or June? Yeah, June, late June, we went to Cape Coast. That's where the slave dungeons are. Elmina Castle and Elmina, which means the mine, and Cape Coast, they're across from each other. And I've said this before, they charged me to get into that shit. So my dad is linked to that slave trade because my dad's a historian, and we found his dad's family was sold. We found bills of lading where they were sold to the plantation in North Carolina. So I know that part of me, a fraction of me, came from one of them slave dungeons. And I was pissed off because they fucking charged me to go there. Now, like I said earlier, I used to work at the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian is a world-class motherfucking museum. Now, excuse me, let me rephrase myself. The Smithsonian Institution is a series of world-class museums. I worked at the National Museum of the American Indian, and they would kind of like let me moonlight at Air and Space, which is that was a dream, and let me moonlight at Museum of Natural History. But this is a series of world-class museums. It don't get better than the Smithsonian. Guess how much you got to pay to get in them? Absolutely nothing. So I kind of figured that Elmina was like that, or at least for me, because a part of me was sold out of that wretched place. But not only did they charge your boy once, they tried to charge me twice as press. After I paid, I had a camera around my neck. As a professor, I do that to get empirical data. I use pictures as sources, primary sources. And they tried to charge me again. This shit pissed me off. I'm like, how fucking dare you sell me and then charge me? And then it dawned on me. It dawned that Elmina Castle is in the middle of a fucking neighborhood. As far as the eye can see, in all directions but westward. If you look westward, it's a sea there, so it's an ocean there, the Atlantic. Well, it just dawned on me. I was like, oh man, they were selling us in the neighborhood, didn't rise up to break us out. Y'all motherfuckers was finessing. So this goes back to entitlement. The group of people who made it to America from Africa were a specific group. According to Dr. Chancellor Williams, these were the Bouchon people. Now, I'm not going to get into this in this space because it'll open up a line of logic and derail the space because y'all will get super interested in it. But what Dr. Chancellor Williams said in his book and proved in his book is that Black Americans, the ones that came to the slave trade, were not West African. Hell no. We were a group of people who knew how to make stuff. We knew how to build things. And according to Dr. Chancellor Williams, the other West Africans were jealous of us because we were so talented. Does that sound familiar, Black Americans? Well, where did we come from? We actually came from East Africa. Could we be Egyptian is what I'm saying. Kemetic, Temerian, Atlantean, I don't know. But Dr. Chancellor Williams said we was displaced in West Africa, and the Portuguese found out about us. They knew about us from jump. And they went to West Africans exclusively looking for us. What I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, is we were refugees in West Africa. We weren't welcome there. And the West Africans fucking viewed us as property. They viewed us as a come up. And has that changed? I'm going to say no. That has not changed. According to Dr. Snyder, she said, it's his husband and wife, both of them. They said, quote, the trade, that means slave trade, not only commercialized the economy and changed everyday life of Africans, but it also corrupted them. Allegedly, African kings sold wives with whom they were angry. African parents sold children of whom they could not feed. And desperate Africans sold themselves. Barbeau told of a son who defeated his royal father's efforts to sell him by first selling his father, only to be met on his return home by a fellow tribesman who took his profits and sold him. That's what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. All this, brother, you African. That ain't nice. That, in my opinion, according to scholarship, that's about ownership. They looking at me as a finesse. It's always been that way. Why would it change now? According to Dr. Chancellor Williams, and I'll shut my mouth, the dear Dr. Williams said, quote, The techniques of penetration and dominance were varied. Some came as peaceful traders. I felt that rhythm in my voice of Dr. Williams again. Isn't that weird? Some came as peaceful traders, and doubtless trade was all that intended by many. Am I being possessed by Chancellor Williams? This is weird. I feel like I'm
Possibly,
talking
you
like it.
might be getting
I'm not
savvy.
trying.
Mm,
I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to. I'm not
Sure,
trying to emulate him. It's like
it's
coming through me.
inside of you.
Weird. Quote, Dr. Williams said Africans were eager traders. The main attraction of foreign traders is what they brought in many new kinds of commodities. These traders had little or no trouble in gaining coastal footholds as trading posts. The land was not sold but leased. However, the blacks had what the world wanted most: gold, diamonds, ivory, copper, iron ore, and themselves. They sold themselves. That's what Dr. Williams said. Was it entitlement or a finesse? Or was it insecurity? What do you think, Wani Spots?
I think that at this point, it's all of them. And no one was going to rescue them from those dungeons because their perspective on it is that nothing was wrong. That was normal. It They did not view people as having um, autonomy over their own bodies or having liberty, and that's why they're still taking children to this day to plantations um, to work without pay, and taking them to mines to work without pay or very little pay. And they're just taking them. They don't ask. They don't have the concept of taking people, selling them. That's not a thing that they understand to be wrong. Similar to rape. Rape for years was perceived as un- something that someone did against a father or a brother or a family, not the woman. They didn't care about that. They just said, well, I kind of sullied this man's property. So we have to realize that these people don't have the same concepts that we enjoy here in the United States, where we say, "This is my personal space. You can't touch me. You can't do this and that. You can't drag me out of my house." These are concepts that we've come up with because this is the only way that civilization can exist. Other than that, we're behaving like animals. Animals don't ask permission to do things. I'll get into that later if you want to talk about what the animal world does. Mostly they coerce sex. Now, people can say, oh no, the bird is doing the mating dance. Yeah, but she's going to do it, okay? She's going to lay eggs. She can dance and she can tell you what kind of nest she wants for those eggs. But that season, she's going to lay eggs, period, point blank. And this is how these people were acting. You just do whatever they say. You have sex if they catch you without your male folk around. They still don't have a concept that you have any kind of liberty. So we can't expect them to have sent ships to save us. They didn't see that they were doing anything wrong. And so, yes, it is entitlement. They feel that they have some ownership over us. They are incredibly insecure. No other group tries to force another group to identify with them. Like I said before, Chinese people are Asian, Native Americans are Asian, Mexicans are Asian origin, and they are allowed to have individual identities. And it's also a finesse because as we move away, we generate a lot of money, okay? We generate a lot of money, even though we are perceived as poor and all the propaganda. People want us to focus on their products. They want us to blow their products up. They want us to buy their products. They beg us to go on these Caribbean vacations. They know that the Caribbean is fairly near to the United States, and so they do. You market directly to us. They wouldn't market to us if we were all ghetto dwellers with nothing. Even a person in the ghetto goes on a vacation at some point, and those cruises are very inexpensive, and those some of those resorts are inexpensive. So they market to us on every level, from the cheapest cruise for $19 all the way up to thousands of dollars of cruises. We have money and we are being finessed. That's the only reason that they want us to take that African ancestry, find some random tribe, and go over there and kiss up and try to become a citizen so they can get money from us. It's just a tourist scam. Their African ancestry is a total scam. Now, people ask me, what did I think about DNA tests? Yes, they generally do tell you your breakdown, but African ancestry is horrible. That doesn't tell you anything. That tells you one line. That's completely ridiculous for a person with our background. All the lines we have, why would we want to know about one line? You could
Right.
you could have an Irish ancestor and lay claim to that. Do you know how many maternal Irish maternal lines we have in our genetics? Do you know how many 40 some percent of black men have a European paternal line? Should we follow that line and all go to Europe and be Englishmen? No, we shouldn't. That's not how our genetics are. It's fractured over 5 to 6 continents and not just one line. So I don't know what that African ancestry is on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well said, Wani. Nikki, what are your thoughts? You think that the Africanization of FBAs is due to insecurity, entitlement, or finesse? Oh, I didn't even realize that Nikki didn't have speaker. I thought she had
Oh my
co-host.
goodness.
But I thought, hold on, let me make sure I gave it to her. I didn't. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well, back to the issue at hand. Ladies and gentlemen, I worked at a historically black college. I'm at a PWI now, and out of respect for this institution, they actually made me a professor. I'm not gonna name it, but oh man, it was such a dream job. But anyway, um, I noticed that the African faculty there were finessing. I noticed that they were cherry picking. Now the African faculty there, and then several of them had to leave because their PhDs were bogus. Like they were just like got a PhD at Kinko's or some shit. But the ones that were there, with the exception of one, it was one amazing professor there, but um, what they were in the hard sciences, physics, chemistry, biochem, and they would fucking gatekeep the highest grades. They would be like, I only give 4 A's in my class. And I'd be like, fuck that, man. If like, dude, I had a whole lecture where half my class taught in the school of education. Um, and half my class made an A because they earned an A. If you earn an A, give your student an A. Like, anyway, these jokers, I was like, only 4 A's? You only give 4 A's? How does that make sense? And then I got it. I was like, oh, to get accepted to medical school, you need A's, a 4.0 in your pre-med classes. So essentially what they were doing was gatekeeping acceptance to schools of medicine and dentistry and giving it to students who were from the fucking diaspora. So you get these diasporic people who brag, I'm a doctor, I'm a medical doctor, I'm a dentist, who went to a historically black college that was created for us. Y'all do know historically black colleges, for the most part, with the exception of Howard, that was created for mulattoes. And Hampton, there is some argument to say allegedly Hampton was created for mulatto children, children of the slave masters, that raped the help. My grandmother, let me digress for a second. My grandmother got accepted to Howard on full scholarship. My dad's mother, genius, 4.0, and she was a musician, piano player, classical piano, and got accepted on full scholarship in the 30s. And they wanted a picture. After she got accepted, they wanted, they had a picture. You can send a picture. She finally sent a photograph. She was dark brown. And they denied her. They rejected her admission because she was too dark. That's what Howard used to be on. And it really traumatized my grandmama too. She ended up going to Morgan State. But Howard, if you look at the history, was created to for the children of the slave ownership class that had mixed babies. So some historically black colleges got an interesting history, but for the most part, they were created to um, close the gap. Now, with that being said, close the gap for foundational Black Americans. So, why in the hell do our schools of medicine, ladies and gentlemen, we need MDs bad? Why are our schools of law, why are our schools of pharmacy packed with members from the diaspora? And I'm not being xenophobic. I've been all over West Africa. And guess what I saw in Ghana? I saw schools of medicine. And guess what I didn't see at these schools of medicine? Foundational Black American students. Anyway, I digress. Go ahead, Nikki.
Why do I think this our schools are filled with people of the diaspora instead of FBA? Is that what you're asking?
No, man. No, man. I was asking you if why do Africans Africanize FBAs? Is it insecurity? Do they Africanize us because they don't want to be? Well, I don't.
It's
You know,
insecurity and
or is,
pure jealousy. It's the reason why your hater starts trying to take your whole personality. It's why your haters copy off of you, but they don't like you at the same time. It's jealousy, it's insecurity, all of
ooh.
that, all natural human behaviors, but it's at a
I said,
larger scale. Yeah.
I know I'm gonna let you cook. I'm gonna let you cook, but I said ooh because at the my historically Black college I left last year or had to leave last year. Anyway, I left kicking and screaming. But anyway, there was a guy there in the computer science department that was from Nigeria. He was young. He's like 28. And we would talk about he said exactly what you said. He said people from Nigeria. He was real. He said Nigeria. There is a competition there and there's a jealousy with that they're in competition, and this isn't his words, not mine. They're in competition with Black Americans. So what you're saying, according to this guy from Lagos, Nigeria, you're 100% correct. But carry on, Nikki.
Oh, I said what I needed to be said. I'm gonna let you cook, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to chime in occasionally, because you are the professor here. So go ahead.
Okay, appreciate it, Nikki. So yes, so let's look back at scholarship. My argument, although I think all three apply, if I had to lean, why do Africans Africanize FBAs? I would lean more towards entitlement and finesse. So what I just said at the historical Black college I taught at, it was finesse. It was a whole bunch of finesse. Let me come over here and be careful with what I say. I got a friend who was, I'm not going to mention any schools, but she was a full faculty PhD. She's a sister, FBA from Mississippi. Full faculty PhD at a really, really big historically Black college in Tennessee. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And she got fired just like I got fired, but for helping FBAs. Some of you, if y'all don't know my story, I'll tell it later on. Basically, I was professor of education. I was responsible for assessment and evaluation. So I would taught teacher candidates. I actually made teachers, and the assessment evaluation is a class where you learn how to grade, and it's kind of complicated. You learn how to grade. You learn prescriptive education. So if student little Johnny can't do math, you got to find out, okay, what standard is he failing, and what can you prescribe to get him up to par, and then how do you average it? Like it's statistics, educational statistics. But they also put me over a class to boost my check out of kindness called multiculturalism. I knew nothing about it. And I did my research on it. I was like, oh man, this is an attack. Multiculturalism is a class that says, don't teach Black history, teach everybody's history. So in the ghetto, you got educators teaching our children who desperately need boosts of self esteem. Instead of learning the history of how amazing foundational Black Americans are, you have elementary school teachers teaching them about a week of Black history, about a week of white history, a week of Asian history, a week of gay history, and it's just confusing. Like history should be relevant to the jurisdiction. If you're in Memphis, where I was, they need to be learning Black history. That's relevant to the area. If you're in Seattle, you need to be learning whatever Seattle history is. It's just the way it should be done. But I digress. But I asked my department head for permission to rewrite the book. Instead of using the book on multiculturalism, I asked him in the summer off, could I write and publish my textbook which you can buy if you want a copy of it. I'm sending my first round out. If you already bought it, it's going out this weekend. But if you want it, send $25 to my Cash App, and I got about 200 left. I'll send it to you. But I wrote it just for that class because I refuse to teach my students, who most of them were already in the classroom just trying to get their teaching credential, their license. Most states will let you teach for 3 years while you're getting licensed. They were getting licensed through me. And I said, hell no, I'm not going to give you this multiculturalism book. I said, Dr. C, let's call him Dr. C. Dr. C, let me rewrite the book for multiculturalism from a black standpoint. He granted it. He said, hell yeah, do it. I did it, got it published, and put it on the syllabus. And black administrators, baby boomer administrators, found out that I was helping black children, and they couldn't get rid of me fast enough. So my sister, my homegirl, at another big, huge historically black college, which Oprah Winfrey may have went to, um, did something similar. She taught English. And she was teaching, she said, I'm not teaching them Shakespeare. Fuck that. I'm teaching them Run DMC. And she broke out like fucking rap and shit. Like broke out Public Enemy, and she's a little bit older than me, but she broke out like just fundamental rappers and shit, and was teaching them in rhyme and sentence structure through rap. Kids fucking loved her. The admin at this school she was at found out and fired her. So me and her had lunch one day and was like fucking trauma bonding. Like, I lost my dream job. She's like, I lost my dream job. And she was telling me how I brought up what I was telling y'all about the finesse in my title, like how members of the diaspora, particularly Africans at my school, were usurping my foundational black American kids from the ghetto who wanted to be medical doctors. They were usurping them and getting accepted. I brought that up to her and I was like, how is this happening? She said, oh, you don't know. I said, no, ma'am. She said, what's going on at these historically black colleges, why um, African and diasporic students are finessing by usurping um, FBA black children with medical school admissions, schools of engineering admissions, and let them take it a step further with fraternities and sororities. Why are they getting it? Why are they taking over the fraternities and sororities that were created? She said, and she proved it to me. I got evidence on this one, buddy. She said that the historical black colleges will accept um members from the diaspora, but these people who make it from the diaspora be having money, which I confirmed when I went to Africa. They not poor, they have big money, or at least enough money to pay for tuition in cash. You understand me? How do FBAs generally pay for tuition? With student loans. That's what I did. I was on scholarship, and the rest was student loans. That's most of our story. Well, she said, given the fact a lot of members of the diaspora pay for college in cash, they hand money under the table to professors. This is according to her, allegedly. They hand thousands of dollars under the table to these professors to get that aid to go to medical school. Ain't that a B word? And she showed me fucking evidence of this. We need to take back over our historically black colleges, ladies and gentlemen. I can't say it in a nonviolent way. We need to form some type of unions to make absolutely fucking sure that a certain percentage of students who go to our four medical schools, Howard University School of Medicine, Meharry School of Medicine, Morehouse School of Medicine, and it's one in California, Dr. Charles Drew School of Medicine, I think. Hopefully I'm not leaving anybody out. They need to be full of FBAs, right? Because they were created for us, and it's a finesse.
Somebody told me, it was my doctor who is retiring, said that people aren't going into medicine as much because it's too expensive and they would rather just go to other fields that don't require all the insurance and hand to hand, hands-on medicine. So that's why there's kind of a shortage, and these people are bringing over the false um, documents to try to become doctors. So I don't know. We're just going to keep getting it because American doctors are not interested in being that kind of doctor, like, general practitioners. There is a shortage of them. I can't even find an American doctor, but um, I lean toward them being low self esteem. They are the bottom of the barrel of um, all of Africa. Nigeria is. They are known for massive crimes. They're monitored by Interpol. And I think that the the attitude that they have is everything we say, they think it's okay to just attribute it to themselves. And at the same time, white people attribute these things to themselves. So we have Europeans claiming they created jazz when in fact they censored it, put us in jail, and banned it. Especially during the Nazi era, China, Japan, all these places called it nigger music, music of the lower races, and music of the enemy. So they did not create anything. They don't have anything to do with it. They came over to see what we were doing and then paid us to go perform at clubs that did not allow Black Americans to be in clubs. So they did not create our music. And yes, we have another group in West Africa claiming that they created our music genres, all of them, and saying, trying to attach onto it by saying you use call and response. A lot of people do. That is the worst way to say that. We have very layered compositions, intricate music, and very choreographed dance moves, and these other people don't have that. They don't have these layered compositions. They don't even have the same instrumentation. And they don't have all the melodies. They don't have all these different compositions that we have. So our music does not come from either one of those people. It's the same issue with the food, the soul food. Okay, most of the plantations were owned by English people. English people cannot cook. They never could cook, and they can't cook today. Beans on toast isn't real food. Um, and they admit that. That's why the national dish is curry. Yeah, curry. Wonder why? Because that actually tastes good and their food does not. Okay, so they can't cook. And Africans have zero cookbooks, no proof of what they were eating, but we do know what they were eating because other people saw what they were eating. And it was bushmeat and grubs and caterpillars and all kinds of crap until the colonists came over and said, "What the cluck? You know, you stop. You're going to cook for me and you're going to cook vegetables and meat that's not caught up in a tree." And that's what, that changed their little cuisine around. That's not the cuisines that you see now, that's not a natural cuisine. They didn't create jollof rice. French people did. Again, they keep getting these gifts. They got the gift of Afrobeat, a whole book written about it, how James Brown created it. They came over here and got a whole music genre. Thank you very much. Okay? So they get these gifts. They got the jollof rice gift. And what did they do? It had a French name. They renamed it Jollof Rice after the Wolof Empire and then tried to pretend like it was their creation and then began to fight amongst themselves in West Africa of whose is the best. It has tomato base in it. They don't have tomatoes over in Africa, so obviously other people were involved. They were making a similar dish prior to that at the French person's request with barley. Barley. They
Hmm.
ran out of barley, and French people imported um, rice from Indochina. And then they were instructed to make this rice dish with a rice that's not from Africa, from Indochina, with tomato sauce that's not from Africa. There's nothing about jollof rice that's from Africa. They were told to make that, and yet they will arm wrestle each other into the ground over something they did not even create. I'm finding it very hard to find some original culture from these people. And I see tons of original culture from us because we created a lot of these things in isolation. Oh, we have someone on the stage. Punda.
Oh, I'm interested. Let's
Well,
entertain
let's
this.
see what
Punda.
Punda wants to talk about.
He's still coming up. That person is still coming up.
I think it's the Jollof rice. That's going to get me shot.
Punda, what's on your mind? Well, first off, Punda, welcome. What's your lineage? Where are you from?
I'm from Rwanda.
Rwanda. Okay, okay, all right. And what's on your
Yeah,
mind?
I've been listening to you guys. And sometimes I do come. It's just that sometimes I'm busy, but I wanted to say that I kind of apologize for some of the things that people from Africa have said and done to you guys because I've seen that sometimes, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah, yeah. And this is no xenophobia, no hatred. We're just identifying the truth of you know, entitlement and finesse from my experience, and insecurity from my colleagues' experience, from Nikki and Wani. But my what I've seen is entitlement. Like you are African. I've had somebody come on the stage and tell me I'm African. Like, no, that's not. And no disrespect to Africa. I'm gonna be 100 with y'all. West Africa was the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my life. No hatred. That shit was magically gorgeous. But I'm not African. I'm American, and that's okay. I was re-amalgamated here. Like, you don't, like our sister Wani says, you don't call Native American, the Siberian type. You don't call them Asian. They came here and had a ethnogenesis. There's something new. We had an ethnogenesis. You don't call the what's another good example? You don't call the English Germans. A lot of English people are of German lineage. They went to England and they had an ethnogenesis. Even though they have blonde hair and blue eyes and a German phenotype, they're English
I I
now.
I
You know?
definitely I think I agree with you. I think I was listening to one of the conversation with some guy from England with Tariq who was questioning the lineage and stuff. I don't think people should be questioning you guys because you guys should be able to decide who you want to be. I've always been against the idea of telling, especially Black Americans, who they're supposed to be, because I feel like everybody has an opinion of who you guys should be. I've always been against that, and still, I think African have done a lot of that. And it's kind of hard to have a conversation because some of them are brainwashed, so it kind of feels like they're also victims of brainwash. So it's even difficult to have that conversation with a lot of Africans. So
That's interesting, brother. That's interesting that you said that. You said you're from
yeah.
Rwanda. That area of Africa, uh, the issue, if I may step on a ledge and say from my own anecdotal experience and confirmed by one of my young professor friends from Nigeria, a lot of vitriol towards Black American comes from Nigerians. That's just a fact. So then, as Professor James Small says, you have to, history erases the mystery. If you look at the history of Nigeria, what do you see? You see that Nigeria was founded by an English woman. They're victims of the of colonization. So, colonization breeds colonization. You know what I'm saying? There's an obsession with the master, according to John Henry Clark. When the master does certain things, you say, well, shit, even subconsciously, you say you want to do that. I'm going to do that to my own people. And I see a lot of that coming from Nigeria and from the Gambia. People don't talk about Senegambia, but I know some Gambians and that just stay on some Nigerian stuff. But it's all I'm trying to say is you said you're from
Yeah.
Rwanda. I don't know if y'all really have that history. Do y'all have a history of colonization? I don't know much
Oh
about
yeah,
Rwanda.
we got colonized by the Belgians. First it
Belgians,
was
that's right.
the Germans, and then they got kicked out. I think it was after the First World War, and then we got colonized by the Belgians. I mean, see, the other
Hmm.
thing is, I've noticed that there's a lot of people from Sudan and Somalia who that usually come in and then they're screaming at you guys. One of the things that I wanted to tell you is that those people come from a place where they can't talk. So, one of the things they have gotten when they got to the US is that they are allowed to talk. That's why they can't control how they talk because they come from a culture where people are not a lot of people are not allowed to talk. So sometimes it's really not about you guys, just that they are now have the ability to talk and then they can't control themselves. There's a what's his name, there's a guy from Sudan that always screaming at people, Myron, is that Myron?
Myron
Myron.
Yeah,
Gaines.
yeah, that guy, I think one of the issue, he comes from a place where men don't really have respect for women, and they have issues with dictatorship and wars. So sometimes it's trauma. It's really not, he doesn't really mean much. It's just trauma, and he's just yelling. So it's sometimes it really kind of hurts me that people pay attention to him, because I think he's going through some things. I think he probably needs some help.
That's very interesting from a psychological standpoint. You're right. Um, a lot of educators and clinicians will agree that when let me think of a good example. When sexual abuse occurs, the victim can perpetuate it, or really any type of abuse. Violence breeds violence. And looking at that from that standpoint, I never thought of Myron Gaines from that standpoint. But yeah, I think you're right. Coming from that position, he's perpetuating something that was done to him. Now, that don't excuse it. My daddy told me it don't matter why somebody punched you in the nose; it matters that they punch you in the nose. But that's a very interesting standpoint. I mean, viewpoint, Punda, and I appreciate it. Matthias, you were next, and then Supreme. I think I'm saying it right. Matthias,
Yes, yes,
Matthias, going once.
yeah.
Go, go
I,
ahead.
yeah. Yeah. So I was listening and I heard about the Afro beats, the jollof rice and all that. So I want to give my take on it, the African history aspect of it,
Are you
and
from
then also,
Nigeria?
no, I'm from Ghana.
Okay. Do you have any push
What
or do you
part?
have any pushback on the jollof rice?
Yeah, especially on the Afro
How?
beat with the jollof. I know that.
You didn't,
Um,
sir. How are you going to push back on Afrobeat? You literally, Fela Kuti literally crawled over
what,
here and got a whole music genre. What are we talking about? It's a book about it.
who
It's
who
articles.
crowd?
Fela Kuti.
All right,
He came
all
over
right.
here, right?
Who,
There's a bunch of New York
fella.
Times articles and a book about him hanging out with James Brown, and it's called James Brown and the Creation of Afrobeat. Like, you didn't create that. Say thank you.
Yeah,
Say
but there's
thank
also
you. Say thank you.
there is
Say thank you.
what?
Say thank you.
I haven't even spoken yet.
I mean,
Just
letting you
allow me to
speak by
speak. Then.
saying say thank you. What are we doing? Can you say it?
No, I haven't
No,
even
that's
given.
not in your
I haven't even given.
vocabulary, huh? Being grateful
Not quite.
for getting free music genres and food is not in your vocabulary. Gotcha.
It's not free. It's not free music and it's not free food. You have to work
Where
for it.
did you get
Nobody's
it?
giving
Where did you
anything.
get this
Anybody.
Lord
food?
Jesus.
Where did
Then allow me to speak
why
because I've not
why
even
does
spoken.
this Jollof rice have a French name that you changed? Like, why did this hot rice that you guys are into happen under
Can I?
French
All right.
colonists?
So we are done.
It didn't happen under anything else. Do you have any um, Ghanaian cookbooks you want to share pre-colonial?
I never saw. I was all over Ghana, and I never saw a cookbook. I looked for one. I didn't see one.
It's very
What are
easy.
you
Can
guys'
I speak now?
recipe for bushmeat?
It's very easy.
Speak
It's
now.
very easy to prove your recipes. Like, we have a cookbook from 1848, which shows what
Yeah,
we
that's
were
great.
cooking. We
That's
publish a
great.
cookbook. Okay.
That's great. Good for you.
So,
Can I
how are
speak now?
you not? Why don't you have a cookbook? Were
You're
you
asking a lot of
enslaved?
questions and
No.
you don't make me answer. What's
How
this?
are we doing these things? Okay, go ahead.
Oh,
Tell
so
us your
on
fantasy
on
story about how you created
on this
jollof
on
rice
this space is
and
it
music without any
yeah,
assistance.
on this space, is it only people that agree with you that are supposed to speak
No, you can
or
go ahead and talk.
right. Now, with the jollof rice, it was initially known as Wolof. it was W, not a J. Wolof
Spell
rice,
it.
and it originated from
Spell it.
Senegal. What?
Spell that other word that you said.
Wolof.
He
No, the
he
other
just made
word.
that up. He just made that word up. Yes, you
I didn't
did.
make it up. You
No,
can literally Google it
the
right
other word
find
you
it.
said
You
starts with a
can literally
th.
Google it and you're gonna find
The
it.
word
So
that
it's not
starts with a
I didn't make it
th.
up.
Say
I'm
that
giving you
again.
where I
Okay, stop talking to.
yeah, it starts
Stop. You said two words.
with
What's the other name of it? Oh, now you're breaking up. That's very
spoken
convenient.
and you're
That's
telling me
very
to stop.
convenient.
What have I
Are you
it
biting
starts
on the
with a W,
Wi-Fi?
not a
I don't trust you right now.
J. God, can somebody just regulate this? At
Okay,
least let me speak, then she can come in.
continue with your tale. Go ahead and tell us your fantasy story.
I know you want to be heard so bad, but at least let someone also speak, then you come in. I'll give you
Okay,
the
go
chance to
ahead.
speak. I'm not here to
Okay,
take
go ahead.
right. Thank you. Now, yeah, as I was saying, the initial name was Wolof. It starts with a W, and that part of like I said, and you are going to find it. It originated from Senegal. It didn't come from the
I know exactly where it
colonial
came from.
master.
It came from a
You are seeing
woman named Kinda who was in Senegal under French colonists. Are you aware of that? A
it
Hello.
came
woman
from
named Pinda. You want me to give her full name? Pinda, who was under French colonists. That's who made it. She said
So,
what happened. You don't have more
Juan, if
information than the
if
cook.
Juan, if I'm hearing you correctly, are you saying Jollof rice, or as the gentleman called it, Wolof rice, is really of French origin?
Yes, it has another
Wow.
name. Wolof is their empire, and Jolof is yet another name. I know the names of it. That's not the confusion. He just doesn't know where this rice
so
comes from. Go ahead, continue.
initially when I said it, you were not aware of it. I think probably you googled it now and then you are using it
No,
as an
no, no,
argument
no, no, no.
of the
It
argument.
has two names:
But you had a
Wolof
pushback
Empire,
when
Jollof
when
rice.
I said
Okay,
it was
move past that and get to the origins of it.
you never said anything like that until I brought it up and you even thought I was joking and I said you can literally Google it and you are
You're
going
talking to two
then
different
now
people, goofball.
no you are the same
Two
person. You were
people
the
were
same
talking
person.
to you. Pay attention.
Right. Then with the Afrobeat, the origin was Ghana. There was something called palm
That's
wine
not what the
music. And
Nigerians
palm
say,
wine
but
music,
whatever. Palm wine
yeah.
music. You're saying that this came from palm wine music? Is
There
that what you're
was
saying?
yeah, yes, it
That's a
started with
lie.
palm wine music, which everybody on the coast, countries on the coast,
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, they
Mm-hmm.
used to um, they used to play such a music with a guitar, and then from there it's evolved into high life in Ghana,
Screech,
and the high life
screech.
evolved
Let me tell you
high
something.
life the
We
high life
created high
evolved
life music as
in,
well. You don't
and
have any
then
music.
maybe that's your yeah, maybe that's your version of high life, but music has always been in Africa. And
Not like this.
Fela, Fela
Not the
Ghana,
ones
and
that
he
you're
came to
talking
Ghana.
about. You have
Had
music, but not the ones you're
why can't
talking
you let
about.
people speak?
Because you're
Why?
not
Why?
saying the truth. Calm down.
I'm not even saying the truth. You can literally Google this palm wine and you can read about it. Everything is there. That is why we keep saying that it came from Africa, Nigeria. People keep talking about it. Because we history. We are not the way people are trying to see us as though because you are in America, the rest of us do not know anything about where we are coming from. We really do know our history. Then I'll even
No,
come to
you
the
don't. You're wrong about
FBA
both things that
conversation.
you spoke about. You do
No,
not
I'm
know your
not.
history.
No, I'm.
You want me to
I
prove
do.
that you're wrong?
Because he came to America and then
Well,
he said,
are you more
James,
knowledgeable
whatever.
than are you more knowledgeable than the people that Afrochella founders and the people who created High Life? Because they said jazz has formed the foundation
I'm more
for
than
jazz has
what
formed
has
the
that got to do with it?
foundation. Look, jazz has formed the foundation for Ghana's cultural and music scene. South Africa, piano or whatever, however you pronounce it, R&B, and its genre that continues to grow with each generation. I could do more quotes. Okay. High life. Here's how that occurred. Sailors and British colonists in Africa introduced brass instruments and Black American jazz. So you basically were told by British people that stole jazz from us to play a style of music similar to jazz with brass instruments. The name is High Life because they were entertaining aristocratic audiences at exclusive clubs. Um, High Life fused econ and whatever this kind of music with jazz. Later, rock and roll, our music again, hip hop, our music again, Afrobeat, our music again. You don't have any music. You're recycling our music around in circles. And you're literally writing about how you're doing this. I don't know why your generation is woefully ignorant because the previous generation not only knew that they came over here to beg up some music genres, but they wrote about it. They quoted about it. They stated it flat out. Okay? And here's another part. Um, the king of high life, E.T. Mensa. Have you heard of him? E.T. Mensa. You know him?
I haven't heard of him. Wanting you talking to the
Yeah.
dude.
Okay, so he is called the King of High Life. He played with Louis Armstrong and introduced West Africans
Yes, yes.
to jazz.
E.T.
Uh,
Mensah is from my country. I know him. He's
Okay.
from.
Now he said, I started out playing High Life and was the first to modernize it with rock, jazz, and R&B. It was Afrobeat, but my record company called it Afro Soul. So you're basically listening to everything that the British people told you to play, eating what the colonists told you to eat, and thinking that you've created food and music that you didn't create. We're the only ones generating this type of music, and you're just getting byproducts of it.
So how did you generate the music?
I just explained it.
No, you explained how
I explained
Africans.
that the British told you to play jazz, and it's called high life over there. Why is that
Were
confusing?
the
You didn't have
Africans. So
those
I'm asking about
instruments. You weren't playing that
how
music.
did the
Okay.
you were playing that music. Where did you get the instruments from?
We created jazz, dude. What is your problem? This is old
Yeah,
news.
the instruments from to create jazz.
Oh,
Well,
Lord.
he's devalue he's devolving into instruments came from as far as I can ascertain from ancient Kemet. They came starting with the harp, which was created after the human body. So if you look at the human body, the spinal cord has 33 vertebra.
No,
If
no.
you died tomorrow,
Sorry,
if I died, you
sorry,
could play each vertebra makes a
Why is
sorry,
he?
sorry.
each vertebra
Let me
plays a
get it
different
back.
musical sound.
Just asking about
Hold on.
the FB.
Okay, so let me help you since you're trying to use the sad, pathetic argument
Yeah, it's
Where did
failing.
the instruments come from? So Egyptians collected and categorized and standardized drums, like they called them membranophones, tambourines, aerophones, which
you are
are
not getting
flutes, trumpets,
my
pipes.
question. That's why I'm trying to
So
talk so that you
Egyptians standardized instruments that they collected. I didn't say they invented all the instruments. So they may have seen, on the Silk Route,
I'm
on
talking
the
about
Silk
the
Road,
I'm talking about the
on the Silk Road, a lot of
you
these
keep talking about Egyptian.
ancient
I'm asking about
cultures.
FBA.
What will you stop? My God, control your mouth. On the Silk Road, some of these uh, ancient civilizations collected instruments. So they might see a flute from a Chinese person, they might see a thumb piano from East Africa, they might see something, and they would take that and make of their rendition of it and standardize it so that it's, in tune and it has a certain quality, size, and a build. So this is where instruments come from. Instruments come from all over the world, to be honest. Everybody has created instruments, drums, flutes, and all kinds of metal ting tings, tambourines, those little things that you play with your fingers, stringed instruments. So the instruments don't come from white people, as you're trying to imply. We're Americans. We play music available, instruments available in America. We also carved a banjar out of a gourd, and we played the hell out of the banjo. So much so that white people became viciously jealous of the banjo playing that we were doing and tried to make a joke of it. We also had a big cash crop of watermelons, and they were jealous of that. And so they made a joke out of that. Look at that nigger with that banjo and that water. Of course, you're jealous as hell. Okay, yeah, we can play that banjo up and down and sideways. And they didn't like that, although they used us to play at their little parties on the plantation. Who else wants to go? You still haven't proved that you created any music or food. You want to get another
Yeah,
go?
and he's lowering the IQ of the stage. I think he has really bad faith arguments. But in conclusion, what I was bringing up when I said that a lot of musical instruments were created in Egypt, I was going back to Dr. Chancellor Williams, who said that the basically after Egypt fell under the conquest of Alexander, the I'm not gonna call that fucker great. We're just gonna call him Alexander. Um, that basically the Egyptians were forced to refugee up and run west. That's how some of the Egyptians got, or Bouchon got in West Africa. And I want to illustrate that the West Africans hated on them, like I said earlier. But the connection I'm making is, could that? I'm just going to beg the question: could that group of people been us? Because the Portuguese wanted the Egyptians, they wanted them. And last but not least, in conclusion, if you look at Benjamin Banneker, he was of that lineage. And what did Benjamin Banneker do without a degree in archaeology? Build Washington D.C. Where did he get that fucking knowledge from? But anyway, who was next? Matthias is wearing me out. Let's pick somebody else. The black. Come on, bro.
What's going on, family? The African Babel is so irritating. We arguing over rice and fake Afro beats. That's really like some jazz mixed with some '90s hip hop. It is crazy how all these people out here steady coming over here telling us what we ain't did, and we got docket proof. Like we went to their countries to help liberate them using our music. Like World War I, before we could even pick up a gun, we was going around the world giving happy music and happy feelings to everybody, using our music called ragtime at the time before it was demonized. So it's amazing how these I don't even want to call them a tether right now because I feel like that's just too nice. uh, that these people come over here with so much hostility and animosity, like we owe them something, and they really owe us everything. But I,
But brother, I'm the black. I'm gonna interrupt you right quick because you're right on point with our topic. Why do Africans Africanize FBAs? Is it insecurity, entitlement, or finesse? That's my argument. The black, it's entitlement. You know, we were sold into the slave trade mainly by a lot of West Africans because, according to Chancellor Williams, we were a separate group who knew engineering somehow, and they were jealous of us. You know, and to some, just to be fair, in some cases, the Portuguese threatened the West Africans and said either them or you. But anyway, we were property, and it's entitlement. That's what I'm hearing you say. But carry
yeah,
on.
yeah, because I mean, it's a reason after a certain time, white folks just went around the world comparing other black folks to us, trying to figure out where did we come from, because we were so special and unique. Like whatever you threw at us, like want to say we made lemonade, we made Powerade, like we made it so great, it was undeniable. But to try to commoditize it and make a profit out of it because everybody loved it. They like jazz. They tried their best to demonize jazz, but it was so loved that they just said, "Fuck it, hey, we we gonna take it to ourselves." And they waited a while until we forgot about it and made something new, like we always do, because we got bored. And they took that. So I just feel like instead of us trying to continue to make something new right now, let's embrace what we did and what we made and combine all that to make something new. Cause that's really what's going on. It's nothing really new we can make when it comes down to certain things, but we can always advance it and make it better and be proud of everything. And I feel like that's the problem. They mad that we proud that we somewhat proud of used to being slaves because we overcame that adversity and nobody thought we would. Like they mad that we made it through Reconstruction and we made great cities and it was destroyed, but we still finding a way to make other greater things over time. So we still are the cultural standard no matter what country you go to, they dressing like us. Even though they say we dressing like thugs and sluts and nobodies, but they dressing like us. So it's like the pot calling the kettle black, as the elders would say. And it's I just to this point it's like the audacity. Like just shut up. I'm just to the point like just shut up. You ain't even worth arguing. Just shut up, listen, and learn something. And you might be able to take that back and take it back to your homeland and actually apply it instead of being over here trying to ridicule us while we continue to progress and liberate the rest of the world. What the white man don't want us to do, because that was our whole purpose, was liberating the rest of the world. That's why we created the whole Pan African flat blackness idea. But we see that it has got co opted and it's no need for it now. It's everybody stand on your own chin again, and I land there.
Well, Bobby Hemmett said something interesting. You really got my mind working with that line of logic, Black. Bobby Hemmett years ago said that the creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God, or whatever you want to refer to him as, had a plan of creating absolute perfection through having a diverse selection of genes and putting those multiple myriad of genes under pressure like a diamond to create this resilience, this brilliance. Well, it's you could it doesn't take a genius. You can just look at this panel of foundational Black Americans and see that we got all kind of genes flowing through our veins. Look at my face, look at Nikki's face, look at Wani's face, right? We got all kind of genes. And if you look back at history, my question is, has there ever been a group in human history that's been put up under as much pressure as we've been up under, And B, for as long as we've dealt with it, we, ladies and gentlemen, are diamonds.
Yeah, I totally agree. In fact, African Americans are the strongest people in the world. Let me tell you, I'm from Africa, and you know, when
Country.
when the my country is Ethiopia. However, when Ethiopia was really going through a hunger, the people that saved Ethiopia was African Americans. They actually gathered and sung and helped Africa. And prior to that, the strongest African people were taken from Africa, the brightest, the most ingenious, and so on. And prior to the Europeans, the Arabs did the same thing to us. Especially, people don't talk about slavery, they talk about West Africa, they don't talk about East Africa. East Africa actually was decimated prior to what happened to West Africa. We actually, right now, if you go to India, there are black people in India. And these people are from East Africa. Africa is actually a very diverse, and it's the origin of the world. If you look at it very, very deep inside, right? You have South Africa, you have East Africa, you have Central Africa, and then you have North Africa, which really, after they brought this religion, the entire North Africa became white. And that is actually because of a war and because of religion. When religion came, especially the Abrahamic religion, where, they actually pushed us down south after the pharaohs lost power, right? Sometimes what happens is empire goes up and down, but at the same time, you know I think right now, as we speak, you know African Americans are really in a really strong position. I commend you, I respect you, and I want you to really, you know, prosper in America. And at the same time, do what you're doing and get into the top echelon if you can, right? Because America controls the world, and your culture and your music and your way of living and your anything right now, it's all over the world. And this is nobody could actually get that with money. And I'm proud of you. And there's nothing that you could really change. Just do what you're doing and try to make money, because with money, power, right? Thank you.
I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the honesty. Y'all heard what he said earlier. He said Ethiopia was in
Mm.
trouble, and Black Americans banded together to save Ethiopia. I figured the name of the pilot. What was the name of the pilot?
Sorry,
The
Robinson.
African American. There you go, and that would see that's what it's all about. We're not xenophobic. This isn't about hate. We have love for our brothers and sisters from the diaspora, but before we go around hugging, we got to get some straightening. We just got to
But
do it.
he's
You know what I'm
the
saying?
first
This
person that I've ever heard admit that, ever, out of 4 or 5 years.
same here, Wani. Same here.
Can I ask a question? How do you
Go ahead, brother.
how do you like divide? Well, how do they divide all these different parts of Africa? Because that be confusing to me.
What do you mean?
Well, go ahead.
Now, I just don't understand. Do you mean like the Berlin Conference when they carved up Africa? Or,
No, like kind of like well before that and a little bit after that, because you just had different names for certain regions at first. You didn't really just have certain names for the part of
hmm,
Africa they was going to.
they had
Like
lots
they,
of empires. Um,
yeah, like they had,
and
because like they had the Gold Coast and then the Pepper Coast and like the Horn of Africa. Those like basically like certain terms they were used for certain parts of Africa they were going to. So like, how do you divide them parts of Africa from like the parts of Africa today, like the central, north, and south and west? Because like Ethiopia, would you still consider that since it's above the like sub-Saharan African line? Would you consider? I know it's somewhat considered North Africa, but like, how do you? Where do they split in between that and West Africa, and when do like the west part of Africa stop being Caucasian at the little sub-Saharan line? Then it's the nigger
those
line of
things are,
Africa.
those things are like political. Um, the
Right.
Arabs invaded around the 7th century, and so that's why those people are there, and that's why they have a lot of people that are Muslim. It's simply an invasion. In Ethiopia, they had more like traders, like they would come over there and trade, and that kind of is like a soft invasion because they're over there trading, and everybody is suddenly becoming very Muslim and wanting to do things the Arab way, and they were just pushing their influence, but somewhat in a different way. Some of the places Arabs did, I feel like it's a soft invasion because people did become Muslim, but they weren't physically invading them. They weren't, pushing Islam by the sword, but hey, they're hanging around, they're telling you food techniques, they're influencing your cuisine with spices, and the next thing you know, you want to be Arab. They're marrying your women and yada yada yada. It all goes down from there.
But there goes the warfare right there, wanting. Nobody wants to talk about race mixing as warfare. Maybe that's one of my purposes on this planet. That's what the Arabs
Well, well,
would
well. Let me tell you, like
go
Go
especially
ahead.
my
go ahead.
yeah. What happened to my tribe is so me, for instance, my name is Omar Ahmed, right? And you know, it's an Arab name, and another person could have a Christian name. However, after 10 name, uh, nobody knows where that name goes. We had a genocide 10 names after, right? Like, for instance, my name is Omar Ahmed, and I could count up to 10, and after 10 I don't know, right? However, what happens is in East Africa, we have a relationship, especially we are Cushitic and Nilotic, right? People. But then what happened is, you know, just like my sister said here earlier, people came from the Arabian side, and some people got, slaved, some people got mixed, and it wasn't, the slavery similar to West Africa that happened. It was a soft, but at the same time, it was a very cultural decimation. They totally decimated us, right? So now Me as Omar Ahmed, right now, as we speak, they consider me as an Arab. However, I don't look Arab. I'm black, right? And, if I go to an Arabian country, I would really be, you know, ostracized. Second, you know, Egypt was my people. I got pushed down from Egypt. I got pushed down from Sudan. I got pushed down from everywhere, right? And I've been cornered. And at the same time, what happened is, I've been given a religion, either Christian, Orthodox, or Muslim. Now, I've been told also other Africans are my enemies, and I've been instructed to hate other Black people, right? So it is actually a cultural genocide, and also they raped our women, and the kids that are born hate other Black people. I'm telling you the truth. And that's how East Africa is right now. East Africa is actually the most culturally decimated places in the world.
I
What
don't
happened?
believe that. You guys have a lot of culture left, but
Yeah,
why do you think you're aware of this and other people are not? What makes you different than the others?
no, they people. Okay, so in East Africa, what happens is it depends, right? Like if you go to Kenya, okay, so Kenya is different, right? Um, so Kenya, if you go to Kenya, is you got Mombasa, you got like Nairobi, and there's so many different tribes. You come to Ethiopia. Ethiopia is not really a country as it is. It's an amalgamation of many, many tribes. You go to the southern part of Ethiopia, it's pure Africans, pure, you know,
Which ones? Oromo?
Oromo are Cushitic, okay? Oromo are 100% Cushitic. They're black, right? You have Walaitas, you have, you know, the Dinkas, you have, you know, so many different tribes. When you go to the northern part, you got the Amaras. Amaras are also, it's not really same people because within Amara you got Cushitic and you got Semitic as well, right?
Well, if I may interject right quick, that's perfect that you're on northern Ethiopia because I was flipping through Dr. Chancellor Williams' book, and he has a chapter, second chapter of his book, called Ethiopia, Egypt's oldest. I mean, Ethiopia's oldest daughter. I love this chapter. Dr. Williams says the northern sector of the Ethiopian Empire,
Mm-hmm.
what the gentleman was talking about, had been the object of world attention from the earliest
Yes.
times. The fact that it was in the center of the world was in the center of the crosswords. I'm sorry, in center of the crossroads from all directions leading to Africa, from Asia and Europe, also explains how Asians came to occupy the fourth of Egypt, Lower Egypt. Well, he also says that this was also a magnet that drew Caucasian people from many lands, and these increased the number of variety. The undermining of black power was accelerated. The melting pot of races began around the northern perimeter. The end result was always the same. The blacks were pushed to the bottom of the social, economic, and political ladder whenever there were whenever and wherever the Asians and their mulatto offsprings gain control. You see that reoccurring pattern? How many of y'all knew that happened in
Yeah,
Ethiopia? That whites and Asians came and kicked the blacks out and made the blacks subservient. That happens all across the world. That's the pattern.
that's what I'm saying. Like, for instance, if you look at the Aksum Empire, uh,
Oh yeah.
yeah, so the Aksum Empire used to be black, pure black, right? It got invaded by Asians, all right? So when it got invaded by Asians, especially the Yemenite and the Saudi Arabians, the ones that are existing right now. So these people are called Semitic, right? And they took over the northern part. And at that time, the Kunamas are Nilotic. Nilotic is actually pure black Africans, right? And Kunama and these people used to rule, not only that, the Red Sea, but all the way to, southern part of India at that moment, right? So, and also northern Egypt, southern Egypt, and over the time, what happens is, it just, got a lot of mixture, right? Like, especially in East Africa, right? A lot of mixture, a lot of invasion, a lot of decimations, and a lot of people got pushed. For instance, when people talk about Jesus is black, this is the reality, all right? Because Egypt used to be black, 110%. I'll tell you. My grandfather told me, his great grandfather told him, and everybody in that region, in the entire African peninsula, and all the way to Sumeria, to Anunnaki, and all this place, everybody was black, right?
They
And
had to be because those people hadn't invaded yet.
yes, we for some reason we got pushed, and we got, I don't know what happened. you know it's just we moved south and south. Some of them went to Senegal, some of them went to, you know Guinea, some of them went to Ghana, some of them went, everybody ran for their lives, kind of thing, right? And 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 also this Abrahamic religion, right, made sure that, the power augmented. However, we will rise up, and our time is coming. Rest assured.
I love
Yeah.
that he just identified that a lot of religions were created as tools of conquest. They had nothing to do with spirituality, according to Dr. John Henry Clark. It was all basically psychological warfare. That was excellent. Excellent that you pointed that
No,
out, Mister.
I was going to
Go
say
ahead,
real
Wani.
quick, he identified them as Asian while we normally call them Arabs. So that's interesting.
It's very interesting because Dr. Chancellor Williams calls them eight. You remember our talk months
Mm-hmm.
ago? That's what Chancellor said. He said they were Asian, and I didn't know what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But yes,
Okay.
now that's very fascinating because Dr. John Henry Clark, and I want everybody to listen up to this one,
Uh,
said that
can, can, can,
the
can
the the,
can I
the
ask a
t-
favor? Please follow me, please. Yeah.
go ahead.
I just want to ask, please follow me on Twitter.
He just wants you to
Oh yeah, sure,
follow
sure,
Yeah.
him.
sure. No, I just did. Okay, Dr. John, and I want y'all to hear this real good. Dr. John Henry Clark said that the middle, and I never thought about this, even though I majored in this stuff. Dr. John Henry Clark said the word what he said the Middle East is a misnomer. That's bullshit. He said middle of what? East of where? He said the Middle East is Western Asia or Eastern Africa. Like the
It's
powers that
political,
be.
political.
It's political. Yes, yes, yes. But the reason why I bring that up, Wani, is it's very fascinating that the gentleman called them Asian and Dr. Chancellor Williams called them Asian because that's what they are. They're Western Asian. Interesting. But does that mean Asiatic? Is that the same thing, Wani?
And no, they're again, it's political. It just depends on how you view the continent. Just like Turkey, when you go to Turkey, that's not Europe. That's
Hmm.
not Europe. That feels very, very Asian. Feels very Central Asian. Also, Greece does not feel like Europe, but they can say it if they want to.
Let
No
me
one can
tell you,
stop them. Go
you
ahead.
know, the Neanderthals are from the Caucasus Mountains, and the Neanderthals are actually Asians. Uh, they are all the way from Turkey. You could go east from Turkey. Have you seen the fighters? This guys that fights, Khatib, or like they're big fighters, like whoever in the mountains, Chechens.
Oh, Chechen rebels.
Yeah, the Chechen rebels, and then the Dagestans. Have you heard the Dagestans? Like these guys.
Yes.
Yeah. So these guys are the real Neanderthals, right? So what happens
But there's
is,
no more. They might have Neanderthal genetics, but
yeah,
the Neanderthals are extinct.
yeah, they are extinct. However, the origins, what happens is, you know, uh, the people, especially when I say Asians, are from Turkey all the way to Central Asia, are the ones that are really did this, right? And especially in Horn of Africa.
You feel this Neanderthal genetics is making them hostile? We've been examining that, but the problem in the fly in the ointment is that everybody who was collected up in Central Asia on the steppe region, the Caspian steppe, and or even further into the Caucasus, the people that were exposed to the Neanderthal genetics are not all like that because um, the native Australians have a great deal of Neanderthal genetics, and so do the Negritos, and they're relatively very quiet in
Yeah,
terms of attacking their neighbors. So
those,
there's some element.
those, yeah, those
Go
are
ahead.
Denisovans, right? Uh,
Yeah, they have Denisovans, sorry,
yeah.
Denisovans and Neanderthal genetics. They have both of them, and
Oh,
yet they don't seem to get into all of these takeover spirit activities.
yeah. So, you know, especially like in the um, Arabian continent, right? And the Arabian continent, if you look at it, the history, Africa used to be all black. Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, whatever you call it. The Arabian continent, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Dubai, or all this place, even Iran, used to be black, 110%. So this
Yes, the
are,
Persian Gulf, all of it.
yeah. And
As you speak, you remind me again of Dr. Chancellor Williams, who gave us a warning that nobody took heed to. Dr. Williams in Ethiopia, Ethiopia's oldest daughter. He says, "quote For generations." Now, when he says Memphis, he means Memphis in
yes,
Egypt. He says for generations, Memphis was almost entirely an all African
yes,
city with white Asian villages slowly growing up around the
that's
outskirts.
right.
He says, for Asians were a very smart and very cunning people. Once conquered, they feigned complete and humble acceptance of African rule, far from showing the slightest signs of any feeling of racial superiority. They were such masters of art and of dissembling that they could hoodwink the Africans, often under the guise of brotherhood. Does that sound familiar, ladies and
That's
gentlemen? Williams also says, quote, by capitalizing on their often dark complexions, similar institutions, intermarriages, and mixing with the black population generally as far as possible, that all this was the direct route to repeated Asian ascendancy on the continent few Africans seem to see. We dealing with this shit right now in America. Same thing. For they too, as a race, were too ready to forgive and forget past evils committed by foreigners, whereas on the other hand, a fellow African tribe could easily become a traditional enemy and continue as such for so many generations that no one could remember what the original quarrel was about. We dealing with that right now, black Americans. Can we please stop forgiving folk?
no, don't forgive. Never forgive. Okay? Never.
Nobody forgives us.
Yeah.
And that's some
No,
controversial shit. I'm non-violent. I'm
no,
not talking about
no.
violence. I'm just talking about spending our money with these people.
You see, like right now, me as uh, Omar, I'm, you know, I, I don't have problem with my name, but you know, I'm fighting within my own village, right? I'm fighting with my own village. What happened here, we need to fight because what happens is, what they did to us yesterday, uh, uh, and it's gonna haunt us now. And not only that, but we are disappearing, right? They're slowly saying, okay, well, this is happening, and this works, and oh, okay, well, this that,
Hey, brother Omar, I'm gonna come back to you.
yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
X has had his
Go ahead,
hand
go
up for a
go go
long
ahead,
time.
brother. Sorry about that.
No, you good. Go ahead, Mr. X.
Okay, yeah, brother. I don't mind waiting because I was gonna ask a question about more like West Africa. So if y'all want to continue the conversation, that's cool.
No. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. You good?
Well,
Okay, yeah, bro. So like, just to speak on the topic, I just wanted to say I think it's like a little bit of all three because like they kind of pick and choose when they want to, I guess, finesse and like cling on to our culture. But at the same time, whenever it's not beneficial towards them, they always separate themselves from us. So that's my opinion on the topic, just to address the topic. But I actually just wanted to ask a simple question, and I'll sit back down. I just wanted to say, um, do you guys know any resources or books where I can learn more on like the wars and the tribal I guess dynamics that were kind of going on in West Africa that led to the slave trade? Uh, just so I could have a real good knowledge about that.
Oh yeah. What I'm reading right now is The Destruction of Black Civilization by Dr. Chancellor Williams. That's a must. He tells you what went down, and brother, it's about 600 pages. But really, if I should boil down the premise of the book, it's basically um uh if you want to call them Africans, that's fine. The Kemites, whatever, the empires in what is now called Africa allowed foreigners to come on in, which are referred to as Asian. But they were foreigners, they weren't us. And basically, we felt sorry for their ass. We beat the shit out of them, really. Hannibal beat the fuck out of everybody. We beat the shit out of them. And then said, man, sit down. We gonna take care of you, baby. Just like black folk do. And according to Dr. Williams, the pharaohs felt sorry for him and said, you know what, they men need women. So the pharaohs gave them women, gave them a place to live, gave them neighborhoods, and gave them women. What more could you want? And guess what, they made mixed race babies, and in 200 years a motherfucking civil war broke out full of children who said, I ain't black. and that made way for the destruction of the black man and woman in the world. Alexander the Great, under the with the help of a trader named Cletus Nagra or Cletus the Black, exploited that rift, that civil war of children talking about I ain't black. We dealing with that now. Who that sound like? Drake? You know what I'm saying? Getting all up in our mix and causing hell. This shit is old. It keeps repeating. It's on repeat, man. But yeah, the destruction allegedly, Drake, I should say, allegedly. The destruction of African civilization by Dr. Chancellor Williams.
Okay, okay, and yeah, bro. If y'all giving out follows, go ahead and give me one. I just started my page like a week ago. So, anyways, I'm gonna drop down. Peace.
I think the Black had his hand up. We're gonna go to Savannah. Go ahead, Black.
Okay, I'm sorry, folks, for being a slow kid in the room today. But
No, you're never that. You're never that. Don't
No.
no,
apologize.
because I mean, I'm somewhat purposely being a slow kid in the room today because I want like a more in depth conversation on this. But I know the Middle East is somewhat like is a political term, and West Asia is a political term. So when do like you separate Afro Eurasia from Asia and West Asia, and West Asia supposed to be like the Middle East too?
Um, what do you mean?
Okay, like the Middle East is
Wait, we're in Asia now? So, um,
that's what I'm saying. It's somewhat like a confusing.
I thought we were talking about Africa.
But
So,
ain't
which is it
Africa
kind of
connected to
is.
India
Yeah,
and Asia?
don't even try to figure it out right now.
Yeah, but no, I'm glad that we're getting into this. We're looking at warfare. Warfare, the premise of warfare is confusion. What did Sun Tzu say? One of my favorite quotes come from Sun Tzu, who Europeans follow like a fucking roadmap. Sun Tzu say, "Keep your intentions as dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a lightning bolt." That's what hit us. All these fucking words. No, I'm Middle Eastern. No, I'm this and I'm that. No, I'm from Saudi Arabia. And then bam, shit blow up and don't nobody know what happened. You know what I'm saying? So it's meant to be confusing. That's the point exactly. I want to say something, but I don't want to
Okay,
get targeted. Ooh, I want to
okay.
say something. But go
I say
ahead.
that because I'm reading this interesting book about the the May the Malay people, and uh they was calling them Negritos, but at the same time they was calling them Bedouins, cause like uh some
Bedouins,
yeah,
yes.
cause some of them was
They were calling them
is
Negritos?
yeah
The Bedouins?
yeah
Oh, wow.
the tribes that they push inward, and the ones that didn't want to accept Islam, those were the ones that they called Negritos. And uh Professor brought up
Are they
Alexander.
small? Are they small statured?
I don't know. It ain't got no pictures. In they
I didn't know they would be considered Negritos. That's interesting. I gotta look that up because they are odd
yeah,
and
cause
they
like
also
they call them
flirt a
by
lot.
so many names. They call them by Jackins. It,
They don't, this is another group that doesn't want to like stay in one place and they're nomadic and they have some tents up and stuff like this that's new so their children can get educated, but they were targeted as well. Like I said before in the other room, these groups that refuse to settle down and go along with the concept that you own land and you farm on it. Anyone who moves around, anyone who's a hunter gatherer becomes a target. They don't like that. That's, something that all of the Africans and later the colonists don't like people that move across borders. They don't like people that don't cooperate with the concept of farming and staying put.
and that's what it reminded me of when I was reading it. Like that's the first thing that came to mind. You saying that yesterday, and how like it's basically what these people doing. Like every time. they basically moving in because they don't want to conform to the religion. And what old boy said about the Africans used to be in part of India, and the slow like taking over just by introducing certain parts of culture, and boom, all of a sudden, yeah, you're supposed to be Muslim. And they
Now, when I was over there, there was a lady in at Petra called, and the name of her book is "I Married a Bedouin," and she was white. She was just sitting out there selling her book. It's on Amazon. And those guys they're very flirtatious, and they have on eyeliner, and they will marry you just for standing around. And she went ahead and married one of them, and she's got her children live in a tent area so they can get educated. So yeah, they're very interesting. A lot of the stewardesses from the planes were ogling them and, fantasizing about, running off with a Bedouin man on the back of a camel.
Confusion, confusion, confusion.
And they'll be
Warfare.
writing a book about how I went from being an airline stewardess to marrying a Bedouin man.
Mm-mm.
but to
Yeah.
add to what you said, Professor, about Alexander, like the book was basically saying like the first tribe of Bedouins came in with Alexander from Sumatra, and they pushed this group called the Jackins inward in inward instead of being on the coast like they used to be. And after a while, they mixed in, and the ones that like stayed the way they wanted to be, they eventually named them the Naga or the Negritos after a while.
Yeah, yeah, it's warfare starts with language and the intent. Alexander always wanted access to knowledge in the Library of Question Mark. We know it is the Library of Alexandria, named after that fucker. But he couldn't get past the fourth cataract. He couldn't get they had no chance of penetrating Egypt's defenses. But that what we talked about earlier about the Asian mulatto babies in the neighborhoods being born full of mixed race babies, that civil war gave them an entryway. Cletus Nagra said, "Your Majesty, we can attack them while the mulattoes fight the Egyptians. We can attack through that vector, and that's the vector in which they attack. So it's just like a disease, man. If you got if you got one disease that what they call doctors call it opportunistic infection. If you sick with some, another disease can be like, you know what? Well, shit, his immune system's down. Let me go ahead and get up in this. That's what happened to our culture. I say our because Dr. Chancellor Williams alludes that we are mixed with that Egyptian lineage, and everybody in this fucking room knows we different. We're totally different. We're not when I spent a good bit of time in West Africa, I didn't, no disrespect to them. Again, Ghana and Togo was out more beautiful than I could explain to you, but we weren't the same group of people. We weren't. We were different. We may have been cousins, but we weren't. We weren't the same. Savannah, what's on your mind?
Hey, Professor Nikki Owami. Thank you for opening up the space for this conversation. I got triggered today. Um,
Oh.
yeah, I went to Joyce Beatty's Rosa Parks event, and honestly, you know how when a person is talking and like they don't believe their own words, they just want to see if anybody else falling for the BS. That was basically the whole conversation, which they my I pretty much figured what it was going to be. Um, she didn't stay this time around. She I guess she had a flight, but usually she quote unquote talks with the people. But she she had Jasmine Crockett, and then she had this chick named Rita, right? Um, and I ignored the last names because I'm now understanding that yes, they are trying to Africanize us because they are trying to crossplay as us. Us ringing and sounding the alarm, the jig is up. The jig is up. We see you, right? Jasmine Crockett could not even speak to our people and our struggle because it's not her people, right? She went on to talk about how she had a viral moment against the Georgia senator and that big body built, I think she's really holding on to that because they were trying to use that as like celebrity or whatever because they didn't talk about policy. For her reasoning, she said it wasn't policy it was not because of policy that they lost. They lost because of whatever they didn't want to talk about November 5th. So they ignored November 5th completely. They didn't want to talk about why they lost, right? So they just used that viral moment. And then she went into some whole BS about how she, we got to be the change we want to see. And then the Rita chick was talking about how she was married to a white man, but her white husband can't talk about black history or whatever. And then was just, oh my God, like, and then it just turned
Hold on,
into,
what? She
That
married to a
sounds
white
like a
man that
hot
he
it
talk about
mess.
just,
what?
and then it turned, and then Congressman the Crockett chick from Texas was talking about that we a diverse nation, this, that, and the third. And again, like I said, she mentioned how the immigrants built this, that, and the third. But basically, they just like are just everything's cool, everything's good. Like it is what it is. They lost, right? And that's like that was not the feeling. That was not the vibe. Everybody everybody looked defeated in that room, but it is what it is because that's what Joyce do. That's what Joyce does, right? They were talking about tapping on the shoulders, basically, of who's next, and basically,
I'm next. I'm next. Can I talk?
shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Um, anyways, it was like one of those
Okay.
moments where I pretty much thought
There we
I
go.
pretty much could
Hush.
see how they were like pretty much trying to put Jasmine Crockett next, right? And that irritated me because
I can
who is
understand
she?
she's a
Who is
dumb
she,
girl.
right?
So
And that, can y'all?
Hold
What
on
is
one
she
second.
doing?
Who is this? Starbound. Who is this guy?
uh,
Uh,
Travis.
hold on, bro. Let her land
Yeah,
her
let
plane.
me know.
Yeah.
Like
Savannah, go ahead.
I haven't even talked that long, so it is what it is. But like,
I'm just trying to find out why somebody's interrupting. Go ahead, Savannah.
but Ronnie, thank you for mentioning about that rice
Come off your
situation.
mic again, Starbound. Come off your mic again, and I'm putting you down. Okay. I want to let you speak, but you keep coming off. You need to hold your horses. Okay. Wait a minute.
Yeah, on this space we don't interrupt people while they're elaborating. That was very rude, but yeah, what Nikki said. Go ahead, Savannah.
Yeah. Um. Thank you, Wani, for mentioning about the whole rice origin story. There was a girl that they tried to bully. We had this main group chat for all the students, and she had asked an innocent question. She had asked, "Can someone give me a good recipe for African rice?" And the whole 50, 11 million of them all attacked this. This is how I learned that I was surrounded by a whole bunch of Africans because the whole chat got swarmed with F you, you ignorant ass, da 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 da, you don't know yo, da da da, we all not one, da da da. And I'm just like, what is going on? And so, what really irritated me was when I found out she was the president of the AKAs, the AYL, BSA, and all that other shit. I'm like, she doubled down on her. And so it just really, that's when I like realized that again, the animosity was real. Like, when I tell you, like, we are the only ones that try to like make the quote unquote olive branch, and you all just continuously burn it at any chance. That's why it is what it is. It's up and it's stuck. We see you for what you are. You're frauds. Um, and yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, on that note, what I will say is earlier, Savannah Wani mentioned some Joe. Wani, is it my perception or did when you mentioned Jollof rice, like you said it about two times, and then like African came up here to defend the honor of
Hmm.
Jollof rice,
Yes,
got his full attention.
that's how you get 'em.
Um, We're gonna go to Kyrie and then Starbound if he's still here. Go
Hey,
ahead,
how y'all
Kyrie.
doing? Hey,
What's
hey,
up,
so
brother?
I just wanted to piggyback off what you were saying when you referenced one of those books when you said that the Asians slowly started taking over, setting up towns outside of, Memphis, and then, it started building up. And that's why it's important for the Africans not to leave their countries, not to leave their continent, because they're
Right.
slowly their birthright is slowly being taken, and they're trying to do the same thing here in America. And you said it, and a couple other people said it. Same shit is happening. They're trying to take our birthright. Yeah, that's it.
Well, well, people get the wrong impression about me because I wear a tie and I speak a certain way, but I'm from the hood. I'm very proud of that, actually. There was a time when I was ashamed of being from the slums of Birmingham, Alabama, little rinky dink Alabama, but not now. I'm very proud of those origins. I say that to say anybody who spent a little time in the ghetto know you can't trust nobody who ran away from they block. You can't. If you ran away from your block, how you gonna come over here and protect me? You ran away from your mama, your grandmama now, and you coming to kick it with me, man. I got your back. No, you don't got my back. You didn't even have your grandmama back. So with that being said, with these folk fleeing their homeland and coming to like kick it with us, the way I not say this, I say it in a court of law. I don't care. I mean it. I'd have no trust for somebody who ran away from their homeland. Now, if you want to come over, get a little opportunity, that's cool. I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? Just so long as you're not taking it out the mouth of a FBA.
And
But
and hey, and can I say something
and,
else?
yo, go ahead, bro.
And I question this. Like, if 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 the white man in America has done what he has done to us, why would he allow other blacks from other countries to come here and so-called team up against the oppressed? Why would he allow that? It's not because they're on our team. It's not because they're going to work together with us. It's because they're working for him.
Exactly. And I hate you missed yesterday's space. That's kind of a reoccurring theme in my room. I cite Dr. Howard Zinn, and Dr. Zinn so eloquently put it that that's the name of the game towards Black Americans is immigration. So, long story short, because I know my space is sick of me saying this over and over again. The just to kind of make it as short as I can, basically, bro, in the 1600s, enslaved blacks would join forces with the Native American, who I believe were black, but I'm gonna leave that alone, and just counterstrike the white slave ownership class. Just beat the shit out of them until they dial home for
Bacon's
mama
Rebellion.
and called in. Yeah, Bacon's when Bacon's Rebellion, you had white people in it too. But yeah, Bacon's Rebellion was down the road. But that's the same point. But the point is, immigration was developed as a tactic to keep us under control. First, it was done with whites, like whites, like the English, although they were degenerates, debtors, pedophiles, and mentally defective. Not my words, words of academic canon. Then they shifted tactics to the Irish and the Italians, who were not considered white. They used them against us until they got white. Till they earned their way into whiteness. Then they shifted gears and start using the white Hispanics. You know what I'm saying? And the next gear they shifted caught us off guard. They used black looking people from the diaspora. You know what I'm saying? Who came in here talking about how we're gonna make change and everything's gonna go great, and bringing tears to my eyes because I thought America had changed. And if you think about it, that's that Sun Tzu shit. Keep your intentions dark and as impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a lightning bolt. That was the Obama administration. You know what I'm saying? I was so fooled. I mean, I was so happy. I was like, almost had tears in my eyes when he got off. And then he overruled posse comitatus. Posse comitatus, for those who don't know, it's past tense, was the rule that said that the United States military can never be used to strike an American citizen. Obama removed that. So now, should President whoever want to use a drone to take me out because I'm talking too much, a fucking Predator One can send a Hellfire missile through my window and blow my head clean off while I'm on air. Perfectly legal. That's what we're looking at. But to give you some scholarship, brother, Howard Zinn says on page 227 of A People's History of the United States, quote, how could these new Irish immigrants, themselves poor, despised, become sympathetic with the black slave who was becoming more and more the center of attention, the center of agitation in the country? Indeed, the most working class activists in this time ignored the plight of the blacks. Eli Moore, a New York trade union leader elected to Congress, argued in the House of Representatives against receiving abolitionist petitions. And he says, quote, racial hostility became an easy substitute for class frustration. What does that mean? That means that the powers that be in this United States of America, the ruler, white rulership class, looks for groups of people who are starved, hungry, stinking, ashamed, insecure, you know what I'm saying? And says, hey, y'all, we can bring you over to the United States and give you somewhere to stay and, give you the American dream. All you got to do is put these blacks in their place, open a gas station in their neighborhood, sell them poison. You know what I'm saying? Open a nail shop and laugh at them. I went to high school with a Vietnamese family and I was gullible. I didn't know. I befriended them. And I'm light skinned. People be forgetting I'm black. And they own a nail shop and they used to they put their kids through college doing nails of black girls in Bessemer, Alabama. And towards the end of our friendship, I found out that they used to laugh at them. Laugh at black people, laugh at the girls. I mean, this is the attitude, you know what I'm saying? They view us as food. We're prey. It's a jungle, you know what I'm saying? We pray. Not Prey. Hopefully that shares some clarity on your situation, brother. Um, I'm gonna go with no taxation. I ain't seen you in a minute. No taxation. It's good to see you. What's on your mind?
Who you talking to, me? Oh,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Because I didn't,
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't hear the first part. How y'all doing this evening?
Doing
That's
good.
good. You feel like you're getting settled in, Professor?
Yeah, I actually am.
That's
Things are going a lot better than I thought. Than they started. Uh, Atlanta kind of took a turn I didn't expect. We gonna leave that
yeah.
alone,
Better
but
leave
like
it alone, cause it's gonna be many more turns than that. Rest assured. you.
but everything's getting back
That's
to normal. I
good.
think this move kind of made me and my significant other a little crazy. I
Yeah.
think, but
Well,
it's coming back together better than I thought it
moving is
would.
the number one stressor. I don't know if people know that, but that's the number
Well,
one stressor. More than anything else to stress you out, moving is number one.
how about moving and two new
Oh no,
careers?
yeah, you gonna have to
Yeah,
heal.
yeah,
You
buddy.
gotta do a mental healing for that. How you doing, Nikki and Ronnie and everybody in the room?
Hey,
Peace.
I want to,
Peace.
y'all know I'm gonna go left on this one. Uh, I'm gonna take it left. Hey, the black. Um, why do Africans Africanize FBAs? Insecurity, entitlement, or finesse? Or the bag? I think it's all of the above, but I think it's really deeper than that. And I blame Obama. I really do. Um, I remember when the first African conference or whatever he had going on in the first 4 years. I didn't go to it, but I knew it was in town. And you see all the dignitaries from Africa and stuff, because that's really who comes is, the people that have money. And they come looking for money. That's what the whole thing is. And Obama gave them $50 million. That was Nigeria. And next thing I know, we were flooded with Nigerians. All of a sudden, there was Nigerians everywhere. So I blame him for that. He, of course, if people go back on my timeline, I'm not an Obama fan. So, that's a whole nother thing. But he opened the door for what we have now, truthfully, if you want to know the truth about it. He did deport a lot of people, but they weren't Africans. He deported those Spanish speaking people and the ones that didn't have no money and the criminals and stuff, which is probably what Trump is going to do. But I think he's going to hit them Africans too if y'all turn them in. ICE don't care about nobody no more. And I was told by a very reliable source, and then I'm going to tell you the answer to what I'm saying, by a very reliable source from a person who lives in this country but who is not really from this country, that we are going, specifically us black folks, we are going to experience Africans being very nice to us come January after the inauguration because they scared we gonna turn them in. And I say smile, get their name, and turn their ass in. Okay, that's what we got to do.
It has to be done.
It needs to be done. And I was having a conversation with a young lady today, and she was talking about the situation and how, you know, and our people fought for them to come here. I said, wait a minute, maybe your people fought for them to come. My family never did embrace them, okay? We was just plain old regular black my whole life. We ain't been nothing but regular black Americans, so we didn't want all that. And I remember back in the 70s when my father said to me, he said, well, we're out. I said, what do you mean? Because that was a big milestone for immigration. He said, they got some new niggas in town. They don't need us anymore. But he was a forecaster, so he wasn't talking about the 70s. He was talking about now. And so I paid attention to that. He was always against immigration, but everybody know my father was Republican, so there you go. I think it's deeper than that, Professor. I think a lot of it is jealousy when they get here. I think they have envy when they're there because they see us move around. You know, everybody wants to come to America, quiet as it's kept, even if it's nothing but just for a visit, because it's, you know, it's the marketplace of the world, and it's, you know, it's open to everybody and so many different cultures, and you're supposed to be free. Well, they don't know our struggle here. And they think when they come here, because our society has told them and everybody else to look down on us and not show us any favor, they change their minds from envy to jealousy. Well, well, if they don't like them, how did they get what they got? And like Professor said, they come in the systems, they learn them, and then they use them to their advantage. That's what they do. I'm really concerned about the situation, and I'm glad we have a new administration, Republican administration coming in. Not that I am a huge supporter of the incoming president, but I am a supporter of a Republican administration. Because I want to see what they're going to do about these nursing homes. Because in every black nursing home you go to, you're going to see some Africans. And what they care about old people is 100% nothing. They, these
Hmm.
Africans come in these places where we are, which is predominantly in major cities and the outlying areas of that. And they try to be like us, act like us, talk like us, look like us, walk like us, and be us. But yet they can never do it. That is a deep-seated problem in their humanity. You have to understand that they don't have the humanity like Professor said. They don't have the same humanity that we have. And we can see that because when they come over here, how pitiful they are. They look real pitiful, unless they have money.
They pitiful until they get that
Yeah,
Benz. I live
there
in
you go.
Atlanta,
Say it, Professor.
and man, we live in a how do I put it? My wife decided to move to a real fancy neighborhood, and I'm just getting settled in. But like, there's a lot of them out there, man, and they be like they in slick. It's just like my colleague at the college I used to teach at told me. He's from Nigeria. It's a slick competition, and you're right. When they down, they all pitiful, but when they up, they want to almost slick want to look down at you and stuff. You know
Oh
what I'm
no, they
saying?
gonna look
And if
down on you. They gonna look down
right,
on you.
and it frustrates me because a lot of them are in the medical field, and I have a little insight because during my professorship, um no matter where I go, his foundational Black American children flock to me like I'm type of superhero or some shit. But at the college I was at, I had a group of foundational Black American kids that that I had mentored, and they a lot of them wanted to be MDs. And they were not allowed to be MDs because the professors over pre-med courses were not giving them the marks. They weren't giving them the grade. So it's just frustrating to see these people in the medical field coming around with their lab coat on, like, and I'm thinking, you went to Howard Medicine? That was created for foundational Black Americans. You went to Morehouse Medicine. Morehouse was created for my children. You know what I'm saying? Like, how dare you come over here and take these opportunities from me, go to my school, and then look down at me? I went to see a fucking doctor a year ago, and he was from the diaspora, had dreads down his back. And he was a straight up asshole. Told me I don't have time for this or some shit. I almost cussed that
And
motherfucker
you
out.
should
But
have.
it's just
And you
frustrating.
should have cussed him out. But
Right.
let me tell you this, Professor, and I thought about it because I heard you say something earlier. This is a perfect time with this incoming administration for some of our Black university professors to click up and gather up and say to the current incoming administration that if we cannot have our schools back, our HBCUs back, then we're going to ask you, Mr. President, if you would defund them because they're not Black anymore, or make them change their name. Because if we can't get in our own schools and we can't get educated by our own people in our own schools, then I don't want my tax money going over there anymore. See, that's how you handle that.
I love it. No taxation. Put a pin in that. Hold that right quick. I got some dude putting his thumbs
Let's let
down, and
it
I want to see
That's
start
the
what I want.
same. Yeah, she
Starbucks.
said
I,
he's
I
a.
Let
want.
him
She
talk.
said he's a troll, so he
Hey,
can't
Good.
stand
I
on
want to
no
know.
hey,
I
hey,
want to know
taxes.
what
hey,
that's
Let
hey.
him
about.
It
talk.
was hard. Hey, can you guys let at least one other person speak?
Yeah,
Oh,
Hey
see,
man, hold
she,
on, hold on,
no
hold on. Who are
taxation
you?
knows him. No taxation already told me he's a troll, so I just was trying to
I'm
keep
not
He
him
trolling.
just
only in
made
the
it. He
audience.
just made his account. He don't a tweet from the account.
No,
It's a
no, no, no.
troll account. This what he's doing. He
I'm
probably
not
mad
trolling. I'm
about the
not trolling.
Jollof rice.
Sir, I'm not trolling.
Nobody over here is eating your damn Jollof rice, so you can have Jollof all you want to. We ain't mad about no Jollof rice. That's between
I'm
you
not
and the French
trolling.
people. We don't care nothing about your rice,
but
your
I am
beans.
trolling.
No, no, we don't
Hey,
want to. We
hey,
don't want to
that's
talk to
food.
you,
Don't
and we
worry
don't
about
want you
food,
to talk
man.
to us. We want you to go away. You got put out once. Put him out again, Nikki. Put him out because he is nothing but a troll.
I put
Uh,
him out. Go ahead and finish. Land
I'm
your plane
landed. I'm
taxation.
landed.
I mean, I put him down, but now, oh, he left before I got to really kick him out. Yeah, he must have been a diasporic member because he ran away.
Mad about the Jollof
You know,
rice. See, every time you
Why
mention
did they
Jollof,
pick us?
well, they mad about that Jollof rice. They really are because they take that stuff very
Yeah, we
serious.
should have put it in the title.
Next time, see, that's why I want Waddy to be in charge. Y'all need to let Waddy be in charge of stuff because I'm backing her up. Go ahead, Waddy. Do what you want to
I thought Wani was in charge. What you
She
talking
is. She
about?
is. She really is. You know, I like to hear her
I'm
go. That's
not.
right, Waddy. Put it in the title. We ain't scared.
I'm a sidekick.
Shit. Oh shit. Tyrone, what's on your mind?
Peace, peace, y'all. Peace, peace. So, I'm from New York. I don't live in New York. I stay in Atlanta too. The other people already hit it on the nail for me because I felt like, okay, yeah, everything is cool, da da da. But it's just human nature for people, you know what I'm saying, to benefit off of resources and provide for people that look like them. So, yeah, keep your foot on their neck. Like we cool, like we could be cool and all that, but y'all, yeah, we still have to apply that pressure. Also, like y'all seen that video with the is a Jamaican girl, unfortunately. She was saying like, oh, you don't like, she say where she's from, then she asks another FBA person, right? And this happens in real life in New York when the jealousy plays out sometimes, or the animosity plays out, right? So they'll ask you like, where you from, and this and that. They'll see you got an aura to you and this and that. Oh, oh, where you from? You tell them, yo, I'm from here. They're like, nah, but where you from though? I said I'm from here. Then they'll be like, man, they'll do this thing where they trying to shame you. Be like, okay, you don't know who you are. I think it's highly disrespectful. You feel what I'm saying? And that mentality still exists. Like, and it's still heavy. You feel what I'm saying? And people, it's not cool when you see three different women from different ethnic groups team up on an FBA woman and you got to break it up. It's not a pretty sight to see. It's nothing funny about it. You feel what I'm saying? And I don't want to trigger anybody, but it's a very serious thing as far as preserving our lineage, preserving our intellect, and our aggression. Another thing is, another person hit it on the head. I forgot who said it, but our aggression is definitely different towards the system than them. It's definitely different. Like when it come time to move, and it come time to, you'll see the hesitation. You feel what I'm saying? You'll see it fold. You could look at the micro expressions and be like, yeah, they about to fold. You know how Mike Tyson looking at somebody like, yeah, you ready? And he looking in their eyes, and then you could, I bet, nah, he ain't with it. He not really about that life. You know what I'm talking about? That's a real thing. So yeah, keep your foot on their neck. That's, we cool, but you gotta keep their foot on their neck for sure.
Well, right on, Tyrone. And before we get labeled as a xenophobic space, as host, I'm gonna make something real clear. This isn't about being against anybody else. That's not what this is about. But I will straighten this up and tell you what this is about. This is about what my grandmama used to say: sweeping around your own front door for you sweep around somebody else's. We have a responsibility to our own children, to our own family. Y'all are my family. I have a responsibility to you before I have a responsibility to anybody else. And before this epic of time, we've had it backwards where we ran out to help people in all these other countries. Well, check this out. I travel the world. They ain't running out to help us. They didn't come. Where were they during the civil rights movement? Anyway, Savannah, what's on your mind?
Oh, my bad. I was responding to a comment. Um, Damn. Can you come back to me?
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah,
Now,
I don't think no taxation was finished talking. I don't think she
oh
was
no, go
finished.
ahead. No taxation. I thought you were done,
Mm-mm,
love.
no, I can go on and on. I want you to interrupt me because where you
Please do.
talking about a set of people that I really, and it has absolutely nothing to do with social media. It really doesn't. That I never cared for. I just never cared for. I've never had a desire to go to Africa. I've never wanted to be around African people. I never wanted to eat any jollof rice or any of that. I'm just
What? Why
never,
not?
ever in my life. And
You
I
don't
was
like
told,
nasty rice? It smells like feet.
that's not me. I'm very suburban. I'm very American suburban. Okay. I tell you.
It tastes like
No, see,
smoke. It
well,
don't
Hey,
really
first of
and
all,
have.
I don't even
Jollof.
go in those African places to be tasting or buying anything. Okay, I just don't do it. I really, there's two groups of people that I have never cared for in my life, even as a child. And I wasn't taught to be a bigot. I was taught to be discriminatory. You need to discriminate on how you shop, how you buy, who you do business with. So that in that way, but I was not taught to be a bigot. But I was a bigot at a very early age anyway, and that was from Africans and Indians. Those are just people that I just don't care for. I don't want them around me. I don't want to be around them. I had one, when I was going for my master's, I had an Indian teacher, and in psychology class, I don't even know what it was, but it was summertime class, so I was sitting in the back and talking, professor, you know how it is. And so she was talking about, I thought she kept saying the eagle. EAGLE, because that's what it sounded like to me. And I asked the girl next to me, I said, why does she keep talking about an eagle? I don't understand. So we had to write some kind of paper about the psychology of the eagle. So I thought she was saying eagle. Well, she put a big fat F on my paper because she said, why are you writing about an eagle? I said, because you kept talking about the eagle. She said, no, I said ego, ego. I said, ain't this a bitch? I said, well, I didn't understand you. So she had to, she allowed me to do the paper over. But I just never cared for those people. And I have, it's so strange because I did live in a couple of countries and certainly I visited other countries where people speak a different language, but I never had a problem communicating with them, even, because you do sign language and people kind of understand what you're saying through certain ways. There's ways you can communicate. Not with them people. It's nothing I want to communicate about them. I heard that they eat light skinned people any daggone way, and I don't have that much color on me, and I'm not going nowhere where I'm not welcome or wanted, okay? And seriously, now I have a cousin, she's clinical psychologist. She just moved in the past 3 months. She just moved to South Africa. And I read today, the people said they they scared they not gonna get no money. The South African people said they not gonna get no money because Trump coming in office. I said it was a bad time for her to move. But I told her, I said, if you move to Africa, I will never visit you. I told her that. I said, I will never visit you. Now you can come and visit me, but I will never come and visit you. I have no desire to be in Africa or India, either one of them.
Why did she move there?
Girl, I
Why would she
don't
just
know.
move up
Cause
and
she's
move
crazy.
down
She
there?
like, listen. If she could have done what Wani did, she would have done so. But I don't think her money was long enough, and she was, PhD in psychology, and you can't go out. If you're an anthropologist, yeah, you could do all that kind of stuff. But clinical psychologist, you need to come back to the United States for that. You know what I'm saying? Or in France somewhere, someplace, or more sophisticated than anywhere in Africa. But she likes to travel, and she loves it. She wants to be over there. Girl, I don't know what she got going on there. I don't even care to know. And my mother had to tell me, because when she said she was going to Africa and see if she wanted to live there, I said, girl, bye. And I haven't spoken to her since. Now, I will take a phone call, but I'm not taking a plane. I can cold daggone guarantee you that. No way am I getting on it. If I have to go that far, I better just skip everything and go straight to heaven. I'm too old to be doing all that traveling anymore. So, no, I ain't going no Africa. India definitely is out. I got a friend in South Korea that I should have visited, and I haven't even visited her. And she she was gonna buy my ticket. I told the girl, don't buy me no ticket. I don't think I would be able to make it. It's too long a flight. If you're going to fly that far, you want to land where you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Not because you need to be there to visit your friend or because you need to be there to visit your cousin. Fuck that.
That flight so
Ooh,
long, no taxation.
You got to be
You
where you want to be.
that you being man, we left. You leave JFK, like one of the ways you leave JFK in New York. Man, when you wake up in the middle of the night, that shit like it's so long that you fly over the curvature of the fucking earth. It's like, wait a minute, it's everything curved. Like,
I'm not able. I'm
like,
not able, Professor. I'm not able. I really am not able. You know,
and most of it's over
But
water.
it's
You know what I'm
so
saying? I
oh,
work.
sad because South Africa is very nice. It's just that the day to day, you don't want to live these places. India has so much to offer culturally to check out, even though the people are, you know, not what I want to hang out with, but the ancient cultures are very interesting and very long. And again, South Africa is very beautiful, especially, you know, Cape Town and surrounding areas. However, I don't want to live there. So it's
I
always
live
going to be
upstate.
visiting. It's going
I
to be
live
visiting,
upstate
and
New
that's
York.
it.
I live upstate New York, Wani. I live in a very beautiful place. People come here all the time. They come and cut their Christmas tree, their little Christmas trees down and everything. It's gorgeous here. I have seen the countryside of every place I've wanted to see. I have no desire. I don't care how much you talk about.
Yeah, and a
But
lot of
the
people
other thing
don't, and
about it,
that's their right.
but
There's
I
actually
think
enough
about
for us to visit
healthcare.
here.
I think about healthcare, and I think about, the everyday, because I really am suburban American. I truly and truly am. That's my sweet spot. Not too country, not too city. And I'm so American. You understand what I'm saying? Like in the summertime, our family used to have to get in the station wagon and go see something in the United States of America. My father wanted us, to see all the different sites in the United States of America. And we had to do that and learn about it and all that kind of stuff. So I understand living abroad, but no, it's no place like home. People, you're not going to get anywhere in the world what you get here unless you have some very real money. You got to have, you need a nice coin to live over there. And I don't know how she's over there living because it's not my business anymore. But and she left Hawaii to go there.
That's so true. I lived in Memphis for the last 11 years, and people complain that Memphis is a dump, and it is a ghetto. I'm from the ghetto, so it's kind of familiar to me. But we went to Africa for the summer, and then went to Costa Rica for a little while. But point is, when I came back from Africa, and landed in Memphis. I would fly to Seattle or some shit and then come back to Memphis and get off at the airport and drive down the street and be like, damn, this the ghetto. But when I left Africa and went to Memphis, I'm talking about the ghetto looks so nice. You know what I'm saying? America is nice, man. Like it's really, we don't realize what we got.
Yeah, they
Uh,
don't have a lot of pavement. I'm seeing a lot of neighborhoods where there's a lot of dirt on the ground. I think they're more used to that. Yeah, it's just I guess it's just what's there. Savannah, I see you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, I remembered. So like for me personally, the idea of even going to like college wasn't even there, right? A lot of stuff even had happened to me at 16 where I'm like, I'm not going to college. But I still applied, right? And I could have went anywhere. I got accepted to Case Western and decided to just go to Ohio State because I wasn't sure about the money. I always wanted to be a doctor. Most I was a nerd. I told you when I tell you I took every science available. I took every science available, and but I say all that to say, if I could have went to medical school, I would have. Um,
Savannah, you're still young, and let me give you some advice coming from somebody who's been to grad school and law school. Education don't fucking make sense. In my assessment, the only two, medical school makes sense. If I was a bit younger,
mhm,
I'd fucking do it. Like, um, and school engineering makes sense. Like a lot of this shit, it's too many attorneys. Like, I mean, education don't really make sense. But anyway, I was gonna say, if you're so young, if my word means anything, depending on what type of physician you do it, man, because they get respect
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
for me personally, the reason why I wanted to go that route was because my mom has a plate on her brain, right, and she had a brain aneurysm. Right. And so for me, it was one of those things where I was interested in neuroscience, right? And I already told y'all about Ben Carson. And so I wanted to go like the neuro route. I don't know if necessarily surgery, but everybody always talked about how I have a still hand. So that was a big joke. Um, but anyways, my very first time ever learning about the different ethnic groups in Ethiopia was when I was in a Somali class. Funny enough, each time I had the chance to go study abroad, something happened. So the first chance I had to go to like South Africa with the university vice president at the time, she had a knee injury. The second time we couldn't go because they said they was running out of school. They were running out of water where we was gonna go. So they had to cancel. And then the the trip to Tanzania was through my Swahili class because my teacher she was impressed with me because not too many people, the white people, could keep up. Quite frankly, like I don't know if y'all know about Tate, the old QB for Ohio State. He couldn't get past the second week of Swahili. That's how stupid he was. Like really sad. So I really do believe that intelligence do correlate with the QB position because when I tell you this cat could not get past the second week, he could not get past Mimi Neely. My name is. Once we started throwing it there and here and that, he had to drop out, but that's another story. Um,
And I would have dropped out right behind him.
oh, I pick up on sounds pretty easily.
Savannah.
I promise you, I pick up on sounds easily. And then that's another thing. I told y'all about that Chinyonye girl. Like all these white people calling you Chi because they don't know how to pronounce your name. Like we go out, we literally do everything to try to learn about different cultures, to not try to sound ignorant if we, if we can. Like, but I remember like growing up and really being like berated by a foster mom of mine because she used to get on me about saying ain't and gonna and whatnot and that used to really like mess with my confidence because she used to say oh my god, yo. I used to act like I didn't like reading because whenever I said ain't, she used to make me say like, oh, I'm not gonna say ain't, or I'm not gonna say gonna, or I ain't gonna say got no. And I used to act like I used to hate reading because I loved reading, quite frankly. But she was a Caribbean lady, but it was one of those things where it's like they really they really don't have no problem with going against us and belittling us when they can, especially when they realize you ain't got nobody coming to save you. And another thing too is we have to protect these FBA babies because Jordan Neely, it break my heart. I'll never forget my freshman year. I was coming, I was going to the Barnes and Nobles on campus to go get my books. And it was a cold night that night. I'll never forget. It was probably like 10 degrees, felt like -4. That's how cold it was. And I'm just grateful I'm going to get my books. It's my freshman year. And then there's this guy yelling. Again, I'm not really making out what he's saying because all I see is that there's this big line in Barnes and Nobles, and that's what I'm gonna have to deal with. I come out and I hear him screaming and yelling, "Y'all, this not y'all money. This not y'all money. This y'all family's money. All I'm asking is for food. All I'm asking is for food." And here I am. I'm just happy to be here. Let me get you some food. Cause you're not even like, what is going on? Like, but he's yelling in like at this point in time, they had just closed down a homeless shelter in Columbus. So I know that they're gonna call the police on this man if this continues. So he's a black boy, black man, and we're like the same age, it looks like. And I'm like, yeah, let me get you some food. And so I'm talking to him. Sure enough, he grew up in the foster care system over in California. And he just kind of just vagabond his way over to Ohio. But it's just one of those things where all he wanted was food. And I stayed and talked with them because a lot of those places, they'll kick the homeless out if they think that they're loitering, even if you buy them the food. But anyways, it's just one of those things where it's just like foster kids, especially in America, if you black and you ain't got no person, you ain't get adopted, they just leave you they just leave you as like stray dogs.
Yeah, it's the system is absolutely fucked up. I see.
Cool Breeze.
Go ahead, Nikki.
It's Cool Breeze Steve who's next.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you said that because I was about to go out of order. Go ahead, Cool Breeze.
Okay.
Hey, what's going on, family? What's going on, brother Professor, Sister Nikki, Sister Wani? How you guys doing? Definitely appreciate get a chance to talk and everything. It's a great conversation, just add into some of the things that even with myself with experiencing not only working overseas but working in Africa and at the U.S. Embassy and stuff like that, but definitely want to agree with what everyone else is saying. Basically, they come over here, they idolize our culture. They want to be us, and they downplay us and stuff, and they play this as if like once like I think you just said it, Professor. Once they don't have any money, then all of a sudden they want to be part of FBA culture and everything else. But once they get up above or whatnot. Now it's like, well, they separate themselves from us, and traveling over there and working over there. Like I worked in Somalia in Mogadishu at the U.S. Embassy in different parts in Djibouti and stuff like that. And
Are
I
you a
can tell you,
Marine?
yeah, I was in the Marine Corps.
Yep, I knew
Uh,
it.
yeah, I was in the Marine Corps for 10, but then I started working in the private sector,
Okay.
doing private security work for the U.S. Embassy around the world and stuff like that. So I got a chance to work in Africa at the U.S. Embassy, and then I worked in Afghanistan and other embassies and stuff like that. But when I was working there, um, I was just like what everybody's saying. It was definitely I want to say a culture shock, but more so on how like you guys are saying how they separate themselves because a lot of like brother Tariq and everybody else because a lot of the tribal stuff over there, and they view us very different. They view us as outsiders, especially as Black Americans, because they view us as we're not part of their tribe, part of their country. You know what I'm saying? So, but they idolize Black American culture because they go what they hear or what they see on TV or whatnot. If in some areas is really bad, you know, and some because in a lot of those countries, as we see, either you rich or you poor, because there are some very nice parts of Africa or whatnot, but then it also very bad parts because a lot of the tribal wars and stuff that European governments have corrupted. A lot of that's a different story on that, you know. But so if they in some of the areas, if they don't have like the opportunity to, I wouldn't say necessarily they don't have TV because they some places they do, but they just go by what they see in the movies or what they see on TV, and then they nor do they care about what Black Americans like our history here, because sometimes they think some people think that somehow everyone in America is like we just living large over here. You know what I'm saying? Like we just got a bunch of money and freedom and opportunity, and they don't even understand American history on how we were, you know what I'm saying, oppressed, and we can continue to fight. And that's why some of them have this type of mindset when they come here and view us like, oh well, you guys have all these opportunities, and how come you guys didn't take advantage, not understanding white supremacy,
Our brother,
even
our
though
brother Tariq Nasheed talked
even
about that the other week, and it was so true, and it frustrates the hell out of me. These people are able to come to our country and forget what they did back home, wherever home is. They could have been murderers and fucking debtors and shit, but they come over here and get a
Yep.
brand new social security number. You know what that means? That means they're able to open a business. And what I see in Atlanta, in the fancy neighborhoods surrounding us, in these gigantic homes. You know what I see in the parking lot when I put on my suit and tie to go to work in the morning? I see I see cars that aren't there. They ain't going to work like everybody else. But on these cars, I noticed this shit today because I kind of just moved in and got settled in. But anyway, what I noticed today, well, or this morning rather, or yesterday morning. It's already 12 o'clock. But yesterday morning was a lot of cars that had private companies, like little stickers that say so and so's cleaning service, so and so's this and that. And that told me all I needed to know. That told me that they came over here from another country with that clean social security number, and they got a business loan. They could have got $1 million fucking business loan that foundational Black Americans cannot get because we're deep in student loans, and those of us who didn't go to school didn't know how to work the credit system. You know what I'm saying? Who's teaching us credit? They're not teaching that anywhere. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I digress. That just kind of hit a nerve with me, man, because it's truth. Go ahead and land your plane, Cool Breeze.
oh yeah, man, definitely. I'm gonna wrap it up with this, man. And to add what you're saying, because the thing is, oh, you know, it gets so political and a lot of things because they selling, you know, what I'm saying, land over there, pennies on the dollar, to especially to outside of this country, and not understanding, like, well, I would say not necessarily understanding, but the we know that Africa, the continent of Africa, has the world's largest natural resources in the world. Every country in Africa, right? There's Russia, China. We see with the Chinese, but there's every country in the world right now is getting a piece of Africa, as far as when it comes to natural resources. And then they come over here and they look down upon us and 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 say, well, how come you guys ain't taking the opportunity in XYZ? And I actually got into, I want to say, a few arguments because I'm like, look, just like what Brother Tariq and always consistently point out, you're selling your land and natural resource. You roll out the red carpet for these other countries, and they come over here, and not only they develop, they take the natural resources and they take it out of the country, manufacture it, and resell it to Africa 10 times if they was actually doing that. It's like they can't even, everything, like, you have to go through European governments. If you want to take resources out of Africa, you have to go through European countries. You ain't going through the African government. You're going through European countries. And I was like, you have the nerve to sit up here and look down upon us. Look what's going on in your country. You can't even build. You got to go through a whole nother government if you want to develop and get natural resources from that country, from your own country. But you want to come over here and look down upon us and think you highly educated and everything else, man. So I just want to see about the piece on that. But I'm gonna land my plane right there, brother.
I appreciate you, brother. Nikki, who was next? I think it was Welsing. Go ahead, Welsing. It's good to see you.
Likewise, good to see everybody in the room. Now, I was just this brother who just spoke. He's one part that he said is absolutely right. They have the access to um, know about Black American history, and they do not want to know. It is an intentional ignorance. They don't care to know anything about Black American history. When you tell them, you know, that race is an artificial construct, they don't understand that. They don't. They think that Black American history starts with slavery and ends with slavery. They have no idea about Reconstruction and Jim Crow. They don't care to know what it took to get civil rights. They don't have any. They don't even know their own history in their own country, let alone wanting to know about Black American history. And then anything that they do know is what they have been told by, particularly white missionaries and everything that go to those countries. Um, they uh, think that they think that their education is going to open up all the doors for them, and that they can align themselves with white people, and find that they feel that they're better than Black American people in this country. And there were some recent incidences that took place, a crime. Particularly the last one that comes to mind is the woman in Florida who knocked on that white woman's door, and she took a gun and shot her right through the door and killed her. Like they don't they it's and then they what happens is like a pattern. They want Black American sentiment. They want Black Americans to stand up and fight, but there's no fight in them. My father always said that they're cursed people. This curse has carried through to this day. These are the people who sold us uh, through the slave trade for mirrors and beads and tobacco. And it carries through today. I mean, when you see, I was reading something where you've got families in Africa where the Chinese, they're selling their children to the Chinese. God knows what they're going to do with those kids. They don't have any. I don't know, that whole thing about farming too, that took place from Africa to England, and what they did to them. Um, they, I feel, are just a lost set of people, and can come here and are very jealous. And they can underpin you at any moment, because there's no allegiance to their own people, let alone anybody else. So um, somebody was talking about Africans and Indians. I remember in 1992, my mother and I went to London, and that was my first time going to London. And we went into a small, what would be like a bodega store here in the United States, in New York. And there was a white couple that bought some items, and this Indian woman bagged their items. I went up there.
Oh, I'm up here talking through a mute. Yeah, very fascinating, and I like what Welsing said is a
I
lot.
didn't hear the rest of it.
Oh, I thought she landed her plane. Did you get cut off?
No.
Did she get cut off? Welsing, you there?
Yes.
Oh wow. Oh, she must have got dropped. I don't even see her on stage.
Oh,
Yeah, do any of y'all see her?
That happened to me.
no.
Weird. Let me see if I can bring her back up.
It was weird that the connection is bad. No, but what I was saying, I went up to up to the counter to purchase the rest of the items, to the items that my mother and I chose. And when I paid for it, I swear to you, the woman took. Can you hear me? Because thing is so weird now.
I
I
hear
can
I,
hear
I hear
you.
you.
oh, okay. All right. When I paid for everything, I swear to you, the woman took a brown paper bag and slammed it on the counter and pushed the bag to me as if to say that I'm to bag it myself. And when I realized what she did, I took that bag and I threw it back at her. And I said, bitch, you better take those things and put it in my bag, or else you're going to give me my money back. And she looked down on the counter and she put it in the bag. And I said, how dare you? I said, between my mother and I, you're blacker than both of us. I said, you got some fucking nerve. I said, you're nothing but a goddamn cow piss bather. That's what I
Hello.
called it. And then I walked out the door. And it was, I felt bad.
So
Like I was shocked. Like I was like,
what is she? You're nothing more than a what?
cow piss bather.
Mhm.
So and I felt, it was like, damn, she heard me talking to my mother. She knew that I was from America and it didn't matter. You see what I'm saying? And so I don't know what that
Okay,
noise is, but
can you mute yourself?
oh,
Ho- ho-
Mute,
Gene,
mute, mute,
no
mute.
taxation.
Huh?
You got to mute, baby. So, yeah, it was like shocking to me. Like I was like, this woman, like she knew I was American. I was talking to my mother. It didn't matter. Like it's amazing to me. So I just it's the experiences that you have around the world. And to your point, and I think I referenced it in Tariq's room, because something that you three spoke about globally, how America definitely want to make the impression of Black American people as peasants. I can testify to that, having had done a lot of business in Asia and seeing the television shows and the pejorative and the suggestive pejorative commercials and things that they had on television with regards to Black people. It was eye-opening to me. And I always said that when I went to Asia to do business, I was never going to be an ambassador for my company. I was going to be an ambassador for Black people in the United States. And because of what the things that I saw. And it's America has done a number on Black people around the world, and it sucks. It's just so willful, and it's a sin. So I just wanted to land with that. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Wilson. And I like the fact that you brought up the whole socio brainwashing apparatus um, that, according to Dr. Noam Chomsky, manufactures consent and manufactures discontent. I'm gonna have a space one. I've been saying I'm gonna have a space for about 6 months, even before when me and Robbie Blues have spaces. But the book is so complicated. I gotta figure out a way to talk about it. It's one of those books. There are very few. I read a whole lot, and there are very few books that take me a minute to say what the hell are they talking about. Manufacturing Consent is one, but one even worse than that is Marimba Ani's book. I'm not done with Marimba Ani's book. I've been reading her book for like a year and a half. you know, it's a lot of information, but very good, Wells, and appreciate it. Nikki, do you remember who was next? Percy Earl, I think. Percy Earl, welcome to the space, man. I don't know if I ever seen you in one of our spaces.
Hey, what's going on, Dr. Allen? I'm from Memphis too. I'm from
Percy
Yeah,
Earl.
he up in
yeah.
this.
What's going on,
What's
y'all?
up, brother? What were you saying?
Man, nothing much. I'm from Memphis too. I'm from Raleigh. So
Raleigh.
when you said yeah, I'm from Raleigh, man. So
Man,
when you said that,
we used to live on our first little house was on Lynchburg.
okay, yeah, I'm from the Fords. I'm from Raleigh Fords. So you know how it is over there. Where back in the day, I'm from Raleigh Ford. So
Right. Is that near Raleigh, Egypt?
yeah, right there in the front. Yep.
Oh man, I used to teach at Raleigh, Egypt, man.
My auntie did too. But here's my thing. I
Who
was
was your
gonna let
auntie?
you.
Well, never mind. Give me in the back channel.
I
Lord,
got you.
he
Yeah, this
can't
probably
get
this.
no words out.
I'm sorry. I'm
It's
happy.
cool. It's cool. Shout out
I
to the
fuck with
family.
Memphis.
Nah, you cool, man. Shit. Shout out to the room. Shout out to the family. Shout out Nicky the guy. Everybody on stage. Sister Wani. But I was just gonna relate to you when you said that how we grew up in Memphis is nothing compared to them other countries. So I went over there to Jamaica in 22, in summer 22. We went to Montego Bay. We stayed at a resort. Man, everything was lovely, peaceful, whatever. But the next day we went on I guess a tour. We went over there to Kingston. We went all the way through Kingston and all. And when I say, bro, I was terrified. I'm talking about we going around. It was cool, but I guess our little guide or whatever, the bus driver, must have went the wrong way, and we must have fucked around and caught a flat. And I'm talking about as soon as we caught a flat, You see all these Jamaican stuff, they out there looking all crazy, and I'm like, man, what's we can't have no gun and nothing over there. So Memphis, but we gonna keep some protection. But I can't have this stuff over there. The bus thing broke down.
Uh oh, first L got dropped. I didn't drop him.
Everything is, this app is dropping
It's acting
people.
a fool. I'm about to bring him back up though, cause hold on. First, I'm bringing you back up, bro. I don't know what's going down.
I mean, it's while they're talking too, and it breaks up a bit and then it drops.
Well, shit, I don't know where he went. Percy, Earl, if you can hear me, come back, man. I was loving what you were talking about, man. It's a small world. He lived right down the street. I bet you lived there when I taught there. There he is.
Okay, my bad. But what I
It
was
wasn't your
saying is,
bad. It's the app dropped you.
oh yeah, I see. I don't even be on this shit that long because of this app, man. But I'm saying, bro, we got that bus broke down, and I'm
Whoa.
talking about. I'm talking about when the bus broke down in Kingston. We in like one of the work. I don't know where we was, but I know when that bus broke down, we were out there surrounded like by plenty of angry looking Jamaicans, man. And I'm like, I ain't got, we can't have no guns, nothing over there. So I must get back to that resort. Man, I pray, I thank God we got back to the resort. And when I got back to Memphis, I was like, look, Raleigh is Raleigh. Professor Allen know how Raleigh is, but it was I like basically kissed the ground out there, man. I'm like, oh my god, I can't. I thank God I'm back in Memphis because Jesus Christ, them people it were down bad out there, man. It was some nice people and lovely people out there, but when that bus broke down, that showed me like, look, ain't nowhere over here in this country as bad as them country, man. And I'm gonna land my plane there.
Yeah, man. One year, we lived off old Brownsville, out there in Raleigh. I lived all over Raleigh, but cause Lynchburg's kind of near Bartlett. It's a little kind of nice, but we
Yep,
lived in off old Brownsville near that Walmart, man.
yep, I know
It's
where it's
Afghanistan, man. So shoot, but as bad as Memphis is, like
at.
when you leave a third world country like Mexico, we went to Mexico. I went to Africa. When I came back to the airport in the hood, you know what I'm saying, and you see like airways and shit,
Yep.
it looked nice. It's like, damn, this ain't all that bad.
Man, my grandma from Riverside, so
Uh-oh.
I got family on both sides of town. We got family in out there in Panola, Mississippi. We got family pretty much. We got family over there in Searcy, across the river. So I'm saying I done seen country towns, bad looking, low income towns, but people still got pride. People still most of the people own their homes, even in little towns.
Right.
So people get into the bag even in the little communities. But like I'm saying, I ain't never been nowhere in Memphis where I look over and it's like 20 niggas with machetes and blades out. Like that was and I ain't no scary ass nigga, Dr. Allen. But I'm
Noah.
like, I was on that bus like the bus driver had to nurse say, hey, we have to get off the bus. I said, nigga, I'm not getting off this motherfucking bus. Fuck that. Do you see this nigga over here with this crazy nigga right here with this blade? Fuck that. I ain't got no gun down here.
Man, we were going
Fuck
to
wrong, dude.
we was on a bus for 9 hours in between Ghana and Togo on a dirt road, riding with
Hell no.
riding with a dude that my wife known for 20 years. Actually, this guy, he's Ghanaian and he's my wife's pediatrician. Like, anyway, long story short, but and he's a dignitary. He got like clout. So
Mm-hmm.
we on this road, I mean, like just dirt road for 6 hours. It was paved for about three and then turned dirt. Middle of nowhere. So
Yep.
we on our way to the place, and all of a sudden we see a checkpoint. And the dude we with, the dignitary, says, "Oh, I've never seen this before. I grew up here in the '60s." He said, "No, no, there's no check. What is this?" And we pull up, and it's a military motherfucking checkpoint. They had AKs, they had grenade launchers, they had on camouflage I ain't never seen before. And they said, everybody get off the bus, get off. And we like, and the dude, the
See?
dignitary was like, "Hey, look, I'm so and so and so," and they told him to sit down. And I was like, "Oh shit!" And they was like, "Passports." And everybody was like, "No, we ain't got no passport. We left our passport in the hotel. We going to the jungle, man."
Mm-mm.
But it was a minute where I knew if they wanted to, they could have just gunned every last one of us down, did what they
Yep.
want with the women, and nobody would have ever found out. Y'all, it would have been like Americans disappeared in Ghana. Have you heard? But I'm saying that type of shit don't happen in Memphis. If some shit go down in
Nope.
Memphis, everybody got a gun. So,
Yep. And another thing I was gonna say too, I live over here outside Nashville now, like basically a suburb. That stuff, that Africanization stuff, and like how they like the Miss Wilson was talking. Um, they do this like Nashville is one of them sanctuary cities too. I know you've been down here a lot. Like we have a lot of people coming from everywhere. So it's like you can meet somebody on every block that come from everywhere in the world. But they try to shit with having their noses up and like they flexing like, oh yeah, we come over here, y'all jealous of us. First off, dude, you wouldn't even be over here with our ancestors fighting hard. Shit, most of our ancestors out there in West Tennessee, the little small Haywood County, that was one of the first rural counties of all black people. It was an escape county. That's like when the slaves ran away, they ran to Haywood County, and it was like a no man's zone for white people. You couldn't come in Haywood County in the early 1800s as a white person because that was like the Great Dismal Swamp of West Tennessee, and it's still mostly 80% black out there now. That's like nothing but 30 minutes outside Memphis. So we've been had that going on, but the audacity of these people to come over here when you didn't get on the first hot boat smoking, and I'm like, you literally jumped on the first rubber boat that was leaving Africa to come over here to thank God you came over here, like you over here, and then you get your little payment or your little first little check from the government, open up your business like you said, get a free line of credit, all that, and then stick your nose up at us. Hell no, we're not going for that. And we don't mean to. It's gonna be casualties and strays caught along the way. Every immigrant ain't a tether. We got a lot of people, riders and all, but
right.
that disrespectful shit is dead. I'm not going for it. I stand on business over here in Nashville, even when we got people like, and over here, I'll be honest, the Africans and like the immigrants over here, there be some cool ones, but when they look to white people like they're like they gotta bow down like, oh, so and
Like
so
they
said this, man,
gods.
fuck that. My grandparents and them told me, look, stand, you stand for something. You don't never let nobody talk down to you. I don't give a fuck how much money you got in your pocket. And I'd be down to come over here and be like, oh no, you gotta please the white man. Fuck that. I stand on business over here. Shit, one man army versus 50 if I have to. So I mean, I'm gonna land my plane there. I ain't trying to talk y'all head off, but everybody have a good night, y'all.
Man, you always welcome, man.
Thanks. Good night.
I'm happy to see you, bro. And that's that Memphis spirit, y'all. That's why I fuck with Memphis. Percy Earl, I never thought I would ever in 1,000 years say I miss Memphis. But if it's between Atlanta and Memphis, Atlanta's really nice and really bougie, but I miss Memphis. Memphis is real. Like this shit over here is, I don't know. This some Hollywood shit. Anyway,
Yeah, a lot of
um,
people who live in Atlanta say that it's nice. There are a lot of black businesses, but it's kind of like it's not real after they've been there for a while. That's what I'm being told. I
it's
don't know.
feeling like Los Angeles, some, and it's a
Yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
explain.
Too many transplants.
And
That's
it's
what
very,
destroyed Los Angeles.
and it's pretentious.
It's so pretentious, and I'm from that type of um. I'm not gonna say lineage, but God's been good to me. I'm a academic school type person. And so I'm just saying I had the opportunity to. I went to Harvard, didn't graduate there, but I know the real deal. You know what I'm saying, and to see people try to pretend that it's kind of hard to
But
deal with. It's like I
Professor, here come Juicy. She live in Atlanta. She getting mad. She putting up
oh
crying
I
emojis.
triggered her. Juicy,
Uh-oh.
school me,
Go ahead,
educate me.
Juicy.
Go
Uh-oh.
ahead.
You know what, Nikki? You know me too well because that triggered the hell out of me. My
Sorry.
Lord. Shout out to the family, man. Y'all know me too good. Shout out to you, Professor Nikki the God and Wani. Um, Shout out to 901 Shelby Drive, look alive, baby.
Hello,
I can't wait to go back to Memphis. I'll be in Memphis in January and February. I'm
We in the
pulling up.
building.
Juicy, go ahead. Tell me what you love
And
about
yes,
What you love about
okay.
M Town.
So most people on here know, not everybody. Um, Born and raised in Indianapolis, but I lived in Memphis for 3 years. Shout out to Hickory Hill. Shout out to Winchester Ave. Shout out to the descendants from deep, deep South. Memphis is rich in culture and rich in history, rich in music, blues, and that's why I'm really going. I'm going for the music because a couple artists. Shout out to Anthony Q. Cecily Wilburn, really from West Memphis, which is in Arkansas, right on the other side of the Mississippi River.
Facts.
Um, that has a show out there, which I'll be on February 22nd to cover media. Yeah, but I did live in Memphis for 3 years. When I say the best years of my life was in Memphis for those 3 years, I was between the age of 22 and 25. And I moved there for music. That's where I had my own band. That's where I started with a house band, and then the house band was so good, we started covering from different venue to venue. And back then, in Memphis, you can make a living off of your music, even if you was covers and not original. Now, as it pertains to compare and contrast, I did not move to Atlanta for music. I would never suggest anyone to move to Atlanta for music. I would recommend that you move here for media and film, TV, etc. Yes, it is considered Hollywood South because everyone from Hollyweird is moving out to Atlanta, which is hyper liberalizing Atlanta, where Atlanta is black faced but white managed.
Hello.
I have been here for 10 years. I have a book. If you could go to blackgirlsguide to thrive.com, it is a self help guide to those who are relocating to Atlanta, how to navigate these Atlanta streets. I've been here for a decade and I share best tips and tricks about that over the course of the 10 years. They're absolutely right. You will have a better time as a descendant, as a Black American in Memphis. Um, you have to understand that propaganda has been put out, or I want to say propaganda, exploitation. Yes, there's been some very gruesome, nightmarish type of occurrences, and they do happen in Memphis, but not often, not the way that they say it. You know what I mean? You'll hear one-off story, and it's a tragedy, yes, and that's why TV loves those type of situations, and they broadcast that on like First 48. First 48 will shape your perspective to think that Memphis is not a place for Black people, and it actually is. You will have a much better time hanging out. The people are more welcoming. But if you're not from, like, I would say, Orange Mound, or if you're not from like the innermost parts of the city, so to speak, where where there's severe poverty and crime and stuff like that, you're not going to be directly impacted. So
Well,
I was
well,
I was
Juicy,
involved in the
I
music.
taught for 4 years in at a college. You know where it is. I'm not gonna say it, but at a college in South Memphis, and in Young Dolph
Hold on,
neighborhood.
Lemoyne.
Well, I
Wait.
was trying not to say it, but
Oh, I'm so
no,
sorry.
you're good. But yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I love that's my school. I was a professor and administrator there, and like I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm just trying to say, as dangerous as they say that neighborhood is, man, they showed me so much love, man.
so much love. It's crazy. It's like the danger be from people that's either not from there, that moved there, or just cross the wrong people. Hey, let me put it like that. That's not a people that you should cross. In regards to faith-based organizations, um, Memphis, they buy the book, and I mean the Bible, and it's along the Bible belt line. I would advise that we do, as a family, just do some Black American history, in regards to from emancipation through Jim Crow, just about Memphis only. Now, one thing that I want people to really know is that, yes, MLK was born in Atlanta and he was assassinated in Memphis. And that created a permanent segregation. I would say Memphis is permanently segregated because of that. There is a white Memphis, there is a black Memphis, and they just go along. Memphis still thrives, Memphis still moves along, right? But you can tell that that put a state, like the city culturally never, socially never trusted white people ever again. No shit. To where they have to hire black police officers to police the areas. They just had to do that. Now, during that 3-6 Mafia era, like, I really know this city, right? During the 3-6 Mafia era, it was, hyper violent. You know what I'm saying? It was, they was singing "Break the Law." We ain't playing. They was like, "Shit, fuck it, let's go ahead and, sir, I'm sorry, that's kind of how it was, But long story short, I love living in Atlanta. Atlanta is a black woman's paradise, I would say, and not from a romantic or relationship say. I would definitely say marry in the country or some little small town on the outskirts, but not here. But as far as business, if you're looking to be self-made, this is the quickest city as a black person. I would just not say women, but more so black women, that you can thrive in. You can go from having absolutely nothing, sleeping on somebody's couch, to having living in a 6 bedroom, multi-million dollar house within some years with proper grind. You don't have to take over Atlanta. 6.2 million people here. Just take over a small little section and you'll do well. But as far as cultural connection, my heart is in Memphis. Memphis is my second home. I was born in Atlanta, born in Indianapolis. So I feel like Indianapolis, Naptown made me, Memphis made me, and ATL paid me, baby. That's what I say. I yield my mic.
Juicy, send me a link. Send
Yeah.
me a link to your book. I'm gonna purchase it and read.
And yeah, tell her to put it up in the
Yeah, put
jumbotron.
it in a jumbotron because I'm gonna buy it.
Put it in the jumbotron.
That book will be helpful to me because Juicy, I'm from Birmingham. I grew up in That's the town I was born.
I didn't know you moved here. I really didn't.
Yeah, I got
And I would advise small towners, like I have a small towner section, I have a big city section, because a lot of people from all over move to Atlanta. So New Yorkers come down to Atlanta and they're not used to the slow pace, and small towners move to Atlanta and they're not used to the picked up pace. So I try to help you guys find a nice medium, and then respect the Atlanta culture. And when I say that, I mean like the Grady babies. I'm talking about the people who are like born and raised here, because we did just invade their city and they almost are non-existent.
right.
This is their town. Pay homage. Go to MLK's house. Like, go to these, places where these people actually had significant impact in American history. The march of Sherman's March ran through Atlanta.
But
Like, we need to
that's the
know.
weird thing to me. I'm from Birmingham, and Birmingham shit. Is it an hour and a half away from? It's basically Atlanta.
It's about 90
Yeah, it's
minutes.
so close.
No, Birmingham about 90-minute drive out 20,
So I would
and
come
then
here.
there's a time
I was
difference.
coming here as a child all fucking time. We would go to Six Flags. But my point is, even in college, I used to fuck with a girl that went to Spelman, and I would hang. I spend my weekends at the AU, But like Atlanta ain't. Now, this in the late mid 2000s when I was finishing college. But like now, I'm like, what is this? It's not for me.
It's been whitewashed,
I
Professor.
see.
And I deep dive into that because okay, the people who moved in the 80s are not the people who moved in the 90s, are not the people who moved in the 2000s, 2010s, 2020. The people who came in 2020, no, they ruined the city, because those are the PPP relocators. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And I don't want to give too much of the information, but y'all need to know, it used to be the people who moved in the 90s and the 2000s. Yes, it was still that culture of, oh, let's plug and play. I know what you're doing. Let me plug you with the right people. You could
right.
go out on a night of the town with the right people, and it could literally change your life. Your life could change overnight. Now there's a bunch of gatekeepers, and it's hypersexual.
Right.
Now it's you have to be gay to get into certain areas.
Mm-mm.
Now it's like I said, it's hyper liberalized, it's hyper sexualized, and there's more people that moved here who just want to, the fake it till you make iters. You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of fake it till you make it people, and it's a bunch of
It's
scheming
gross. That shit's
scammer
that's gross.
people.
Yes.
Yeah, and they ruin a scammer will ruin the ecosystem of black enterprise and black development. We it was all about sharing. Like, yo, I got a plug. You want to be an actress? I know this agent that can get you on a show. Let me make a call real quick, and it's done. That's what I'm saying. Overnight, your life could change overnight. It was a quick come up. But now Atlanta natives, they gatekeep all of that now, because there's so much schemy, scammy people that have moved here, and
They don't
they
have a
have
level of
ulterior
trust.
motives.
Right.
No, it's a
Mhm.
wrap.
Hey, they are my sister Juicy. They all hit international now. They flooding us too. They flooding this shit.
And but I'm not. I'm heading further south. I'm going to Montgomery, because I'm
Hmm.
actually, you coming to Atlanta? I'm on my way to Alabama, just because.
Montgomery, Alabama.
Yeah. The
I
cities
Hunt's
I'm
still
seeing
up and coming
is
too.
the next
Hunt's
one.
still
It's
up
the
and
next
coming.
city up. I'm just saying.
that's where I went to undergrad. So I know all about Montgomery. You want some advice about Montgomery? Ask me. That's where I went to Alabama
No, I'm
State.
gonna back channel you because I'm trying to get plugged in with the
Hunt's
Oh,
political
still
I
on his
got you
space.
way up
covered.
too.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm
Hunt's
real
still on
plugged
his
in
way.
there. I got a full
Yeah.
scholarship to Alabama. I went to Harvard and couldn't afford it, and got a full scholarship to Alabama State. So that's where I
But
went
as
to.
I'm saying, a lot of conservative Black people are moving out into smaller, markets that are still predominantly Black. The demographic of Montgomery, it's like
Hmm.
80, 70% Black. So that's where most, even Dothan, Alabama, Birmingham, Phoenix City, what I'm saying, Missouri City, I'm really in the deep south. On the 28th, I'll be in Sparta, Georgia. And I think one of the brothers shared a story about them trying to confiscate the land in Sparta, Georgia for one of our descendants. When I say that there's a lot of landholders in deep south Georgia, because Atlanta is not deep south Georgia. Atlanta is a 90 minutes, 90-minute drive from Tennessee. Like I could be in Chattanooga in 90 minutes.
You're gonna love Montgomery. Montgomery's gorgeous. And then,
I was just in Montgomery last month. Professor, I was in Montgomery twice last month, November 2nd, and then the Wednesday before um, Thanksgiving, because Fantasia performed at their Alabama State University. They had
yep,
this big Turkey Day thing, and I tour with some of the entertainers in Southern Soul. King George is on the. That's a chitlin circus city. You feel what I'm saying? Like
love
that's a
it.
real chitlin circus city. And when we talk about the chitlin circuit, we're talking about built-in ecosystem of descendants of Black American people with no exterior interference. No exterior interference. That means people got old money. They just don't like this is the thing that y'all need to stop underestimating about Black Americans from the deep south. They be having money hella long and
Plenty
they inherit
money.
it.
Yep,
Plenty of money. They just don't look like it. They may talk slow, doesn't mean that they are slow. That's why I try to tell other people from New York and New Jersey and PA, stop disrespecting people by calling them country ass, slow ass and all that. Stop fucking talking to people like that from the deep south. Because they'll run circles around your ass. Y'all see what happened in the movie Life? When he was talking about New York City boss, y'all you from New York Cities, you know what I'm saying? They thought that because he was from New York City, and he was pickpocketing people that he could come down to the deep south of Mississippi and run. He got ran through at that dice table that he was
you
at.
know, you know,
You know
I
what I'm saying?
I grew up in between Birmingham and my grandmama lived in D.C. and we would spend our summers with grandmama. So I'm kind of, and Birmingham's kind of a city, if you can, it's the most city place in Alabama. But my point is, um, I've come to a conclusion now that people in the country are the smartest people. They smart.
They are because they still have attachments to the land.
Yeah,
Like I shared Earl's, I think his name is Earl. I shared his like trail riding and homesteading and caravanning. This is a way of life for Deep South Black Americans. And I say that because I literally been traveling along the entire Deep South for the past 2 years filming. You know what I'm saying? From the Carolinas, like there's so much land from South Carolina to Natchez, Mississippi. This year, I was in Natchez, Mississippi in January
love it.
where the Devil's Punch Bowl is at. I went, but everybody I asked, I literally walked up to people and said, "Where's the Devil Punch Bowl?" They looked at me like I was crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, "No, I'm dead ass." I had to go to Walmart. This is a little tip. When you go to any town, go to a Walmart and talk to the people that staff there. No, for real shit.
That's
Like talk
facts.
to the employees. You know what I'm saying? They descendants. They gonna open up their mouth and they gonna chop it up with you. Just be respectful. Say, hey, I'm trying to find a Devil's Punch Bowl. Nobody under 30 gonna know what you're talking about. You got to talk to an elder. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, it's important that we have intergenerational respect and connections because they know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm like, you're not gonna be able to get down in there. I'm like, why not? They let it overgrow, so I have to talk to somebody that knows. So can you point me to it? Can you take me to where it located is? I was like, we could take you to the area, but they let it overgrow. Basically, it was never marked as a historical place because that is America's first concentration camp.
Mm,
It should have been there should be a marker there, like the Equal Justice EJI, the Equal Justice Initiative. When I go to Montgomery, I go to the Legacy Museum and I go to the monument every time. And on the Black American Heritage Tour that I'm creating, hopefully to launch next year, I want to, get a coach bus, everybody meet in Atlanta, and then we go down there and I take you on a tour. We go on a riverboat where we had the folding chair, you know what I'm saying, situation pop out. Montgomery is the shit, yo. Like
Well,
people
I'm gonna
sleep
tell
on
you
it.
something interesting. Memphis. I don't know if you kind of picked up on this, but I bet you think about it, you can. Memphis and Montgomery are real similar. They both river cities. They look alike. They got the same type of ism. It's just,
No, you is right.
but
I never noticed that.
Memphis is fast. Like people drive fast. It's like real high.
Yeah, it's still real city like. You know
It's
what I'm
city,
saying?
but Montgomery is real.
It's still like a
We
town.
call it Gump.
Yeah.
It's that slow
Yeah, it's the
style.
Gump. I know. Like put me in the group called I Love the Gump. There's a woman down there. She has like a womb anniversary. She talks about the war on the womb. Like she's like a big I'm gonna do a story with her. I just got connected with her. And like I said, and then there's an artist down there named FPJ, and he's a really big Southern Soul and blues artist, and he's a firefighter right now to this day. So he sings and he tours on the weekends, and he's at the station during the week serving his community. So when I say like when you like the stories that I've been capturing about our people, when I say these are extraordinary black stories, like you guys are going to be blown away. It's just the fact that we have to recondition ourselves to listen to stories that elevate and empower and inspire us versus the shade in the tea room and the tea tending. We always looking for some tea to clock. You know what I'm saying? I post one rundown report and I got 10,000, you know what I'm saying, readers in one day. You know, I'm like, this is not me. I don't want to do rundown reports. I don't. But to get the traction on my news site, it's like I gotta point out some fuckery. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the business. But I hear what you're saying, sister. But I feel like the tables are gonna turn. They're not going to. The tables are turning. More of us are focusing on our money, focusing on agency and partnership with each other. That's the beginning. That's the beginning right there. It's not gonna stop.
And as I feel like more of us need to move there that have, strong economic standing. So yes, I'm buying a property and land. But see, again, this is my ancestral land. My granddaddy's house is still standing in Montgomery, Alabama. Like it's still there. The house he grew up in, the school he went to. And the school is called Loveless. You know what I'm saying? You name your school Loveless?
That's not
Loveless.
the black high school is
It's a
called
psychological, it's
Jefferson.
crazy.
Is that a last name?
I don't know. I didn't do any
That's a
research on the
last
school.
name.
Name Loveless?
Yeah,
Hmm,
Lovelace is a last name, but I don't know if
it,
that's
it
how it
was some
begins.
it was some
possibly.
controversy years ago because the two main high schools in Montgomery in the black neighborhood. One is Robert E. Lee. I mean, a black high school, and the other one is Jefferson Davis, and we weren't really happy about that. Two Confederate, yeah.
Also, Professor, why did they build the projects around Alabama State University? If there's a college university, because again, I was just there for
Yeah, I remember them
Thanksgiving
projects.
Day.
I remember.
Why did they build? Because the school was there first, right? Whose idea was it to build
Well,
a projects right on the I mean, it's literally across the street from the
yeah, they call
campus. Like it's
Patterson Court. They tore some of them down, but it's Alabama State. The politics of the and we could have a whole space on that. It's a state university. It's historically black, but it's state funded, and we've had governors to try
I
to
don't trust that because
yeah.
if anybody that from that university befriended people from the projects and got involved in any type of crime associated with drugs and guns, you could I could just see like a snapshot of a scenario of a promising student gets killed in a gunfire, you know what I'm saying, because of this project life right here across. I grew up in the projects. No,
Me too.
absolutely not. You know how often
What
drive-bys?
what a lot of people don't say or didn't say, and I graduated from Alabama State in the late mid 2000. Uh, People don't say is Patterson Court was full of undergrads. But yeah, I'm running my mouth too much.
Okay, me too. I'm sorry.
Juicy,
But
get
I
with
just
me.
wanted to say about the Memphis thing. I'm glad
Get
y'all brought it up.
get with
Memphis
me in the back
Tennessee.
channel. We got to
Okay.
talk.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you
person.
for letting me speak.
Oh, thank you for coming up and come back anytime you feel like. Person Earl, what's on your mind?
Hey, I was just gonna tell her like when we were younger, I just like she said about Atlanta. If you meet the people that's actually from Atlanta, we as Memphis people, we have a connection with them. The older people from Atlanta, like you can go down there and you just feel like you in Memphis at home. But like when you go down there now and meet them new people, you feel like who are these people? You know what I'm saying? So what she said is true. And if you go like around the South, if you go to like South Carolina, like you said, I go there. I got family down there in Bessemer, right outside of Birmingham. So you go down there and it's like you connect with them, like we all like on the same mindset. But when you go to Atlanta, you feel like it's like it's like its own little world that's weird. Like you feel like what the hell wrong with these people down here? Even though it's black people there and business, it's like it feels kind of like weird there. But you can go like right outside the city 30 minutes and you feel like, okay, well, these people are more in tune with us as Memphis people. Like what's going on in Atlanta
Well,
itself?
well, Percy Earl, I'm gonna sum it up, man, because a lot of us got a whole lot in common. My mama been playing at a church in Bessemer, Alabama. Bessemer remind me of Memphis too. But anyway,
I was in Bessemer this year. It's like an outskirt. Like
yeah,
you got to
Yeah.
go through a field to get to the
I
temple.
love going out there though. Them people is real down home people. Them
they
people
real people.
That's
they take
real country folk. No,
mhm.
seriously. I mean,
And they got some big ass people out there. Like all them niggas down there, like 6 feet, 6'6" out there. Ain't no
Gucci
short people.
Gucci Mane from
that's where Gucci
Bessemer.
Mane from there. That's
Yeah.
where Gucci Mane
Yeah. I
from.
know. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about all them people like 6 foot and 6'4" and up.
But the
I'm like,
problem, Percy Earl, the problem you talking about with Atlanta, I'm gonna tell you what it is, because I came here in the '90s and shit when I was a child. I'm gonna tell you what it is. It deals with the title. A lot of these people out in Atlanta is from the diaspora. That's what that is. They ain't us. At least
yeah.
in the neighborhood that I live in now.
I was
It's
gonna hit Juicy Genius up too. I'm going home next week. I'm going home. We're gonna be in Dover this time. Most of my family moved out to Cordova now. I'm definitely going
Yeah,
away.
I used to live in Germantown. Like I
Yeah, I'm
lived
going to the
in,
Haven, and I'm
yeah.
going straight to A&R. Give me a pork shoulder sandwich. I ain't even gonna play with them.
I'm gonna hit Memphis up during the break. I get the break off, and y'all gonna think this funny as hell. Y'all want to know what I'm gonna hit up? I'm gonna hit Seed Fragrance.
Uh, I might even go to
What?
Jack Purtle's one time. I
Jack
might go
first.
to Jack Purtle's.
I'm gonna go to my old job at I used to work at Oak Court Mall. I'm finna go up there.
Uh
I know the
oh.
shoe lady still in
Hey,
Memphis.
Man,
Oak Court
that
about to
mall got
close.
bad. That mall so
No,
Yep.
bad now. It done
are
fell
you
off bad.
serious?
It done fell
Oh
off so
man.
bad.
A
You
white
might go.
developer bought it. They want it gone. That neighborhood wants it gone. It's signed, seal, deliver. It's over with.
Oh man,
One
that's
more
Me and
thing.
rough.
Wani,
Yeah.
me and Wani from Memphis too.
Uh oh.
We both.
Well, wait,
Uh
I'm
oh.
just
I
kidding.
just forgot.
I'm joking. I'm
I
Who from
joking.
just
Memphis?
forgot. Oh shit.
But
So
yeah,
look how
well,
Memphis music is
I'm a,
dominating the entertainment industry. Like
yep.
this is the last of a dying breed as far as hip hop is concerned,
And
and
it's funny because
the
I
little
know
bit of hip
most of
hop
them
artists
kids, man.
lingering from
Like
Memphis.
my mama used to babysit Pooh Shiesty and Big Third. She used to babysit them. I'm like, I see
Wow.
them
Get
growing
out
up.
of
I'm like, I
town
know
for
them.
real. Was he a bad little kid?
Hey man, he had mama and daddy. He was around some badass people to me, but he had it all. I mean, he had mama, daddy, everybody. But Memphis, you can be from a good home. You know, got both of your parents doing good. All you gotta take is a cousin or somebody that's out there in the street, and you want to
But
be
Yeah,
around
that's
them.
basically what Professor be telling me. He said Memphis is a different breed. You just gotta have thick skin. I remember you telling me something like that, Professor.
oh yeah,
Yep.
a lot of my students know at LOC my since there's cats out the bag, it's Lemoyne. If you look behind me, that's Lemoyne Juicy. If you look at my picture, look behind me, that's Lemoyne. But anyway, they
I
knew
see it.
they
Yeah, I
knew
knew that anyway. Yeah, I already knew that.
you knew that's NLE Chopper.
Yep.
NLE, a rich boy, man. His mom and them got a big old house in Cordova, but it's that culture, man. But I
And them
dig it.
houses are a good
We
price
call
right
him
now. Like
Bryson.
the market is
Bryson.
crazy over there in Memphis to be crazy. Like I don't know. I can't say I can't move. I don't see myself moving back to Memphis, but I do see myself, traveling there frequently. Just because of what's happening in the music industry there, because something really special is happening in regards to modern blues and Southern soul. Like and Memphis is the heartbeat of blues. It really is. Even
Totally.
though
And
Jackson,
and
Mississippi,
yep.
is kind of like they got a proclamation and is the birthplace of Southern soul. But as far as blues is concerned, like yeah,
And
it's
Juicy, don't
Memphis.
sleep on don't Memphis. Talk about Memphis. Don't sleep on them little West Tennessee itself. That's a big cultural Black American hot zone. That West Tennessee area.
Oh yeah.
You got Jackson, Tennessee. You got Humboldt, Dyersburg, Ripley,
Right.
all them places out there. You got ancient history out there. You can go out there in the Hatchet River if you go to Haywood County and just go along that river. They find artifacts and ancient shit all the time out there. They just don't talk about it.
Y'all don't want to get me started, but I see Kyrie got his hand up. Nikki, was it Kyrie or Danzyland? I don't-
It was Kyrie.
Go ahead, Kyrie. But Persa Arrow, don't go nowhere because you cooking because I got some shit for you with ancient stuff. Go ahead, Kyrie.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on what y'all was saying. I'm from Philly, right? But I got family in South Carolina. And as a kid, they used to always say, "You niggas up here is different." And I didn't understand until later on, oh, we are different because up here we are heavily influenced by New York. We already know what's in New York, Caribbeans. So, it's just funny how that happens, and then, as I was growing up and I started to live with my father, because that's where he's from, South Carolina. And I was just so intrigued by that country grammar, and just the family aspect and everything that we did not get up here up north. I'm good, brother. Yeah. That's all I had.
But we're all connected, bro. My grandmama, my dad side of the family, they from Virginia, but they grew up in DC. Dad grew up in DC, Baltimore, and and hanging out up there, like you have lineage, just the great migration. We all connected. So, Philly, we all connected. We the same people. Danzyland, what's on your mind?
Not much. How y'all doing?
Doing well.
Well, y'all show when you went to go talk about deep in that Alabama. It's something about Montgomery. I like to send a shout out to them goddamn Calhouns. He's been fighting against the goddamn WalMarts for years. He did his thing. You know what I mean? In Thomasville, Alabama, Clark County. You know what I mean? Don't forget about them small towns. Up there. Don't forget about the paper mills. Got whole goddamn 20-mile blocks smelling like shit and ass. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, I had to
Who is
think
that
about that, man.
talking?
That,
Is somebody
that
talking?
was Danzyland. You couldn't hear him.
I can, but I don't see it. The space is not showing.
This space been acting a fool.
He's got Yeah, it's a man that got two kids beneath him. He took a picture with two kids.
Oh yeah, that's my father. Yeah, just passed.
I
He's
don't see
he's
no
from
kids on
Selma,
there.
Alabama. Yeah, me and my brother. Yeah, that's the yeah. But yeah, he's from Selma, Alabama. My mom's from Thomasville, and they all migrated to Detroit. And I was the first generation Floridian, but it's all that little triangle from when Ford and all that shit went to Detroit and all that.
Have you been to Selma recently?
Man, I hate it.
Do you know what it looks
Cause I
like?
remember, I remember back in 2010. You could walk and you still see the jits riding the horses to the little corner store. My dad from Booker T. Washington Project, so my man Johnny with the candy store in the middle of the projects. All that's gone. Everything's gone.
The Biden administration, I won't say the Biden administration, just the Democratic Party always comes to Selma to post up, you know what I mean? And commemorate like the walk across that bridge and everything, but they never gave back to Selma. Selma is like a town, like a ghost town, honestly.
Oh yeah, it's little. They trying to make it a little China, I guess. Or something. Since the Montgomery with the Toyota, they brought in said they had to be able to bring in. I think what like 60 or 70% of the workers had to be Asian and shit. They building little cities in Montgomery. They fucking us up now. I trust me. I'm trying my best to fight it because we got a lot of plot in Thomasville and they still coming at us. ESPN. It's chaotic what they do.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed y'all. It's about that time. I got some things to do early in the morning. Um, Indio, you wanted to go ahead and get it in right quick. What's on your mind?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I just wanted to submit that there's one thing about why a lot of our communities are broke and stuff. An older guy told me once that the way integration is done, it's basically what it is. It's separate. In other words, we don't. They don't want large chunks of black people grouped up in any small. Like anytime it's like over 30%, like when it's like 30% black anywhere, that's when the money gets turned off. So like, and I kind of believe that, like, because I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I'm in Columbus right now, and my old neighborhood now is called South Orchard. That's what they call this shit now. But like my Columbus, Ohio is 20% black. And black people here are doing kind of well or whatever. It's like, but any place where you see like this, like black people, like when they have a list of all the cities that's good for black people, Columbus, Charlotte, places like that, the population of black in the city is like 20%, close to 30. And when it gets to like on 30, that's when it's like gets bad. So it's like the plan is okay, we're gonna integrate you niggas, but you can't be in large chunks. So any place like Memphis, all them towns you guys are talking about was like 60, 70, 80%. That's when the money gets cut off. Cause like here, man, like the hood, like gangbang alley, like all them like those places done got kind of fixed up. Like it's weird. It's like I don't know. It's weird. It's like it seems kind of true. Like they don't want us grouped up. Because when you niggas group, that's how they're gonna separate you. Turn the money off, and then niggas will scatter from each other. And when it gets to 30%, then turn the money off.
Well,
Yeah,
unfortunately, Indio, that's intentional. And
that's what it
I've been
seems.
talking about that for years, and it frustrates the fuck out of me. Like the powers that be don't want one of the big no-nos is having black people have land ownership and having agency, like having a neighborhood. That's a no-no. Because the reason is, if we had a neighborhood, let's just say we were forced to live in Memphis on a block, and we had teachers, government workers, attorneys, just everybody, people who work at the gas station, everybody working on a block. We would at some point in time start supporting each other, and money would stay in our neighborhood. That's a no-no.
That's what it was like for
If we
me as a
could,
kid.
right?
Like my
Yeah, I can
parents,
remember.
yeah.
I'm a '80s baby, so I barely remember it. But I remember when I go visit grandmama in DC, on Benning Road in DC. You had the black dentist, the black lawyer, you had the soul food joint, shrimp boat. Like it was all together, and we would that dollar would circulate.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it used to be in Orange Mound, Dr. Allen.
That's what they say, man.
Yeah.
Orange Mound's being taken over by University of Memphis now.
And I remember now Raleigh now, just like I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut you off. I'm gonna get off here real quick. Not
Are you
but
good?
Raleigh, where he knows, and me and Dr. Allen knows, that was an area like if you ain't from over there, don't come over there. Now we got a Chick-fil-A, a damn Whataburger. We had never thought we'd see some shit like that over there.
Oh, I can't believe it.
They
I'm not
trying to
believing it.
gentrify Orange Mound?
No, no,
What?
I'm talking about yeah. Well, Morris Mound was what the first. What was the first African?
The
Well,
very first
by their quote,
town.
African American
Yeah.
neighborhood in the country, like the mostly. It used to
Yeah,
be all type of shit
it's
over there.
older than Harlem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the oldest, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But
It is.
they didn't destroy that place, and they didn't just did the most over there in the mound. But it used to be like that. It was all black businesses, all that. But they came in there and sabotaged it. They were like, oh hell no, niggas over here trying to do that. Then the Martin Luther King killing killed all that shit over Memphis. That turned my grandparents' house got burnt down, firebombed in North Memphis when that happened.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
because in my neighborhood, like we had a black dentist that we all went to. All my teachers lived in my neighborhood. The school attended.
I accidentally muted you. I apologize. Come off your mute. Go ahead. I was getting all into the conversation. Go ahead.
It's
Okay.
fine, Mickey.
I was saying, it's like in my neighborhood, my teachers lived in my neighborhood. The dentists lived in my neighborhood. There was lawyers, doctors, all kinds of stuff. This is like it's not even like a super expensive. It's a little, regular old goofy. It's inner city, but it's like it's houses or whatever. But we had our own everything. We didn't have when I was a kid. We went to the grocery store down the street that was owned by black people. My dentist was black. Our everything was black. Our schools was ran by black people, even though it's a majority of white town. But like it's Ohio, so it's kind of like an abolitionist, whatever state or whatever. But like when we all that went away. But the thing about it is the old folks agreed to it. Like this is like what they didn't tell us what they agreed to, and what they agreed to is to separate from each other. That's what they agreed to, but didn't tell us. So when we every time us young people, we try to like, yeah, let's all go back down south. Let's all do this. Let's all get together. And that's if we get too many, that's when the money gets turned off. And I think the let's run back down south plan, which is a beautiful plan, but that money we gonna need crypto because that money gonna get turned off if we start grouping up in large groups. A million people in one town, a million people, that stuff. That's when that money gonna get turned off, and we're gonna have our own currency, basically,
I
because
kind of
our
disagree with that
parents agreed to.
situation. I kind of disagree
Okay,
because when you said that the money's going to get cut off, the money isn't even flowing. So what money will be cut off? We're actually going to bring industry, bring enterprise, bring circulation of economic development with our business and structure. But I'm simply saying that I disagree because there is a town that is the in Gaston County, Florida, that received Gaston County is a town called Quincy, right outside of Tallahassee, where T-Pain is from. Shout out to T-Pain, putting Tallahassee like relevant right now. Um, Quincy is about 30 minutes away from Tallahassee, and this town just received $77 million to
from who?
develop this little small town. It went straight to the city council. When I say this is 85% Black American
Okay,
from the city council,
okay.
the
Hmm.
sheriffs, the school district, school board. A lot of it is family. But they filter this money right into the community. And
Wow.
I'm
Okay,
sitting and saying this because I travel there. My client is a DJ who tours with King George. Like I said, this is Chitlin Circuit, right? And he has 200 acres of land that he bought off from money that he made off going live on Facebook. Okay, it's 200 acres. They gave him a lot of money, and then they stamped his his land as a site for agro-tourism so that he can host festivals. The fair is going to come through and use his land. He can lease it out. He farms it. He's got a peanut farm on one side of it. You know what I mean? He has a whole like. I'm basically telling you is that what you guys think is not happening, and I think that's because Midwestern or East Coast or West people just don't believe that it's possible because it's not broadcasted. I'm telling you, I'm literally seeing it and watching it happen in real time. That money is filtering down from the state. Now, this is Democratic uh, county too, but it's filtering down from the feds to the state into these small little pockets of Black areas. It's happening. Not everywhere, but it does happen.
Is the leadership young or old?
It's diverse. It's
So it's young
diverse.
and old. Okay,
It's
so that
both.
means some young people's
It's
whooping them old niggas'
intergenerational.
asses. Yeah, it's yeah.
Well,
Okay,
they're
because
coming in with they're coming in with new ideas.
yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
the elders have the leverage, so you have to work together. Um, because
Mm-hmm.
somebody has to pass the baton, they have to. And I
A lot of
shared a
places they
video on
don't.
my timeline. Yeah, because what happened is that people were getting killed every day because the police department was predominantly white. It was always violent, violent, violence. And then when they implemented policing their own communities, the violence literally stopped. So it's just different
Okay.
things that was implemented over time. And then that's why I said you should
Well,
just
that's
look up Quincy. And it's a heavily Seminole area. It's a lot of, let's look up there's a documentary about it too on Amazon. But I yield my mic. I know Professor's trying to wrap his space up, but I'm just wanting to let you know that, what you're saying, that what's going to be taken away, there's nothing to take away if there's never been anything, invested. They're not building economic growth. Now, the only way, I won't say the only way, but the number one way to increase, where I see economic development coming in, is through the railroad system that comes from Carolina, Charlotte, through Atlanta, all the way down to Montgomery. Our ancestors built that. And so to modernize the railway, and when it'll take you from Montgomery all the way down to New Orleans, right? So you can go from Charlotte to New Orleans on one train rail. So if we modernize that for hyper travel, you can get to Montgomery, you can get to Atlanta from Montgomery in like 45 minutes.
that makes me feel good. That makes me feel real, real good because the old folks, some of them were misled, and some of them were just straight coons. And but
Straight
that's
up coons, and then
good.
scared
Yeah.
too. Coons, and then also
Yes.
afraid of, being killed. I mean, they had legitimate fears. And we don't really have the
I
same fears
understand
that
the
they had.
fears. Yeah, the fears are. Hmm?
Hold on one second, brother. I got a question for you, Juice, before I close space. What's this place in what's that little town called? It's outside of Cobb County.
I live in Cobb County. I
Douglasville.
live in Cobb County.
Okay, so Douglasville. What's that like? It's like a movie. I mean, it's like a
Lionsgate.
studio in Douglas. What is that line? What is that?
Lionsgate is what funded Tyler Perry Studios.
So what do they do there?
Lionsgate is a
It's a
studio.
it's a film
Yeah,
studio.
it's Lionsgate. So
Oh,
when you
okay.
watch a movie at a blockbuster, big film, big ticket, you're gonna see Lionsgate logo on it. Most of the time,
Oh,
yes,
that
yes, sir. That's why I said
that. Oh,
Hollywood is
okay.
moving to Georgia. They're coming out of LA. There's a
Whoa.
mass exodus. There's a mass exodus. There's
Wow.
multiple little pockets of the Atlanta and Atlanta metro area where development for film is. Shannon
So
Sharps is
how would
here.
one?
Shannon Sharp moved his, like everybody's moving their film and media and TV. TV is, but see, I respect Cat Williams because Cat Williams like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Alabama.
He went to Alabama, right?
Exactly, it's Anniston,
Yeah.
right outside Birmingham.
And oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So interesting. Me and you gonna chop
Yeah,
it up.
yeah, we'll
Let's
talk on the
talk.
back channel because I'm scooping up some land right there. Because right now there's really, really affordable parcels and things like that that are available. And again, just for the room, just to teach everyone in the room, industry brings economic development. So if Cat
Sure
Williams,
does.
he bought a former army base, which Tyler Perry has a former army base, right? Like he goes and buys this and he turns it into his own film production company, like a mini Lionsgate, right? Those people who work there are going to have somewhere to live. Like their kids got to find somewhere to go to school. They got to have groceries. It's going to bring industry. Industry is going to bring economic development. So it's best to go and buy at the bottom,
Smart.
right? I'm a banker, y'all. So I'm always thinking from a financial perspective,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll talk on the back channel because we have an opportunity to go in there and scoop up some land and some property now before the price goes up.
Right on.
That,
Ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed y'all. I learned a lot. I feel like I'm every once in a while I open a space where I intend to educate and sit my ass down and get out a pen and pad. This one of them days. I'm gonna see y'all again tomorrow. Um, I enjoyed y'all. Look out for another space tomorrow. And until that time, Nikki, you got final thoughts? Nikki went to
that,
sleep.
I just want to say this. Uh,
Go ahead.
real quick, as I know you're ready to wrap it up.
Okay.
Definitely want to chop it up with you guys, especially Sister Juicy and Brother Professor. I'm actually building getting an office. I have a private security company. I'm building getting an office down in actually Cobb County. So, but just to hit what you guys are saying with the land and stuff like that, and maybe you can do it space on this, brother professor. Um, trust funds. All right, and what the brother NDL was talking about as far as with the money, when you buy land, I'm gonna be real quick with this. You can get once you put that land into a trust fund, nobody can take that away from you. So,
Hmm.
and there's different types of trust funds. So, just throwing that out there for our people and stuff like that to add what Sister Juicy was saying. So, I definitely want to connect with you
Yeah, if we
guys.
can, Professor, if we can have like a financial like space, because I used to work for US Trust, Private Wealth and Investment
Mm.
Management, which is owned by Bank of America, which I typically don't name drop, but this isn't in a recorded space, so I will. US that's where a lot of the wealth earned from enslaved labor is protected in the trust accounts. So
Interesting.
when I worked at US Trust, that's how I learned that these there were account holders from the 1800s. So
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I was telling in a prior space, I was telling them that I went to my dad put us. He worked at a gas station, worked at McDonald's to put me and my little sister in get us out the hood and put us in a rich little neighborhood. Like put us, it's just an apartment to get us zoned to Homewood. So we went to school with the white folk. One of my friends, white friends, still receives money every month off of a trust that's from the 1800s. We think it's slave money, but
It
yeah, that
is
type of
trust
shit
fund based.
exists. I don't advertise. I keep when I was in law school, I clerked for the Honorable Helen Shores Lee, and she taught me less is best. So I don't tell all my business, but I went to law school and I'm a member of Tennessee Supreme Court and the Memphis Bar Association. I'm trying to join the Georgia Supreme Court, but it's real difficult. I'm gonna join it, but it's
I'm going to
expensive and
connect
it's
you
giving
to
me a lot.
Ronnie. You know Ronnie, he's a attorney out in Birmingham. He can help you with
I
that one.
probably do. I went to
You
law
know
school in
Rice,
Birmingham.
he does property casualty and business law.
Ronnie
Yeah,
Rice.
he's out of
I
Birmingham.
don't know. Well,
But
I
he
might know his face
Yeah, well, he's still in Birmingham. Like he still live there. He still lives there. But he does a lot of his business here in Atlanta. He has a satellite office
in
here
Atlanta.
too. But also the gentleman who said that he's doing security, private security. There's a gentleman out here in Cobb County, and he helps security um, companies get federal contracts to be armed security for federal like buildings and different things like that.
See, that's the type of talk with I
Yeah.
need to be having. That's a
Yeah.
type of talk.
Uh,
Contract, money
yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
Well,
Definitely.
we're gonna chop it up. I
Right.
gotta do some shit for my wife early in the motherfucking morning.
All right, fam. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay,
Definitely.
good
Yeah.
night,
My
guys.
company. All right. You guys take care, man. I appreciate it, fam.
Oh yeah. We'll look for a space tomorrow, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out, Nikki. I didn't even realize that you were requested. Nikki, you want to say something right quick? I saw you were requested. All right.
I actually fell down. My phone went dead, and I fell down off the space.
I fell down after. That's funny. Your face did fall down. That's crazy. Well, Nikki, I'm gonna call you in a minute.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye.